Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Williams, top of the circle, pump fake, defender in the air, puts it up, got it again. Two straight threes by Williams. Williams puts his head down, cut off, pull up, jump shot on the way, no good. Rebound by Wolf off the miss. An intercepted pass by Williams, and a tomahawk dunk with a left hand. Williams Johnny in the spot, got the steal in the jam. Long three, Kaysen's three, rims out, not good. Rebound by Hoiberg. Nebraska's got it, down by one. Hoiberg across the timeline, left side, picked up there by Burnett. Out it comes to Asijan. Asijan changes speed. The floater's up and good. Asijan's playing out of his gourd lately. Ulis faces up against Danny Wolf. Goes right side. Williams three. Got it. Great ball movement. And the fourth three of the first half for Williams. The rebound into the hands of Ulis on a tap back. Ulis down the floor. Williams another dunk, and he's tied the game at 21. Ulis is saving Nebraska's bacon, my friends. Bounce pass Hoiberg in front of his dad on the far side of the floor. Waves everybody off. 1-4 set. Screen comes up. Buitengel for Hoiberg. Comes to the right side. Trying to get it to Williams. Goes to Buitengel. Now to Hoiberg. He shoots the three. Got it! Bang! 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 Sammy, my boy! I'm going to pass out.
And finally, a three made.
50-45 to 44. Nebraska back to within one.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB?
Hi, buddy.
So I find myself thinking, if you ever find the words being uttered during your basketball game that Aaron Ulis is saving your bacon,
I didn't get that.
You're probably not in a great spot.
And it was
also not really true.
It was really. I was like,
but if you come across
like,
stuff, you're like, this is an appropriate thing to say at the time, you're probably not going to win that ball game.
Yeah. I mean, pretty on brand. Pretty on brand for what was going on with this basketball team.
That may have been, I don't want to exaggerate here.
You're going to, because I know what you're going to say. You're going to talk about QOP. So if you're going to talk about QOP, it's going to be a little hyperbolic.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad. It's been a minute since I've watched a basketball game played that poorly.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. Now, I don't go into the depths of like the Horizon League like you do or the CAA. So that's
I did watch.
I want to give some context there.
I did watch a little bit of actually about 25 minutes of Bethune-Cookman
Why?
Alabama State.
Why?
I just wanted to see how my HBCUs were doing.
Okay.
There's only a couple more days left in February.
That's true. We've got till Friday to celebrate.
So
do you want me to do something for you on Friday? You want me to see if like Natasha wants to like bake you a cake or something? Or
well, I won't eat cake. Can she make it out of bacon?
Like Aaron Ulis? I don't know. The idea of a meat cake makes me uncomfortable.
You know what would be delicious?
What?
And she can eat, yeah, like, sure. Is she good with deviled eggs?
Mm-hmm.
So now the gold standard has been set. So
by our mutual friend?
Yeah, we're not gonna give her any credit on air.
Okay. As I said, mutual friend.
We're just not.
Her kid's cool.
Yeah. So my buddy,
yeah,
his daughter has the same name as her son.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, you guys share the same name. But anyway, I'm Team Sawyer. But yeah, like the bar is
like Mean Tom Sawyer.
Yeah, I think that's probably why it skipped a few generations.
Sure, as a name.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a cool name.
It's a cool. I like it. Well, I like my guy because that's my guy. But his daughter,
yeah,
Degenerate's daughter is named.
It's a cool. I mean, I think it's a cool name for both.
He picked two cool names.
What's his other one?
Sutton.
So that's a good name.
I like Sutton too.
You know what's one of
Sutton can't be probably a month old, maybe.
You know, one of the only reasons I ever wanted kids, and this is
cool names.
Yeah,
I know,
to pick out cool names.
Yeah, and I wet the bed.
And I
was thinking the exact same thing, and man, listen, I totally wet the bed.
I mean, Caleb and Micah's not bad.
It's
Maya,
fine.
Zoe,
Yeah.
you know, that's not bad.
So Maya is her mom.
Okay.
that was her doing. Caleb and Micah was like mutual,
Yeah.
but not really.
Okay. You got strong armed a little bit.
No, I wanted. This is dumb. I wanted Malik,
That's a good name. Malik's a good name.
but my nephew took it as his middle name.
Ah.
So
okay.
I was mad at my sister.
The firefighter?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He just had a Shiloh Friday.
Oh, yeah?
So he's got a Sky and a Shiloh. How cool of
Those
a
are
name,
good names.
How cool of a name is Shiloh Cruz?
Oh, Shiloh Cruz is an incredible name. Shiloh Cruz is gonna be like that's a top shortstop prospect name.
Yeah,
Shiloh Cruz.
And he's very regimented,
Yeah.
very disciplined. He's good with his diet. He's good with his workouts.
Yeah.
And he's tough schedule as a
Shiloh Cruz is a
farmer.
4-star receiver. I
Yeah.
can hear it.
But Skylar, his daughter, is a little cutie pie too. I'm gonna go with
Skylar Cruz is a good name too.
I'm gonna guess Mom came up with those names because she's super hip.
Yeah. You're saying he's not?
He is, but he's a LeBron fan, so you got to take that with.
You just don't know what to do with it.
You just got to take
You're
that.
like, oh.
We've had some knockdown dragouts over LeBron, but he's the little dude that's on the Nebraska poster with me, the scheduled poster.
Oh, okay.
So he's like wearing my jersey and he's getting ready to throw the ball, or like he's supposed to be running with it.
Yeah,
but it looks like he's throwing it. But I wet the bed on the names, and Zoe,
yeah,
almost left the hospital without a name.
Really?
Went back and forth 27 times.
What were the other options?
I don't know who I think the leader in the clubhouse until I saw her was Brecklin.
Okay. Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
That's a real white person name.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking that.
I'm just saying.
It is kind of.
It's pretty white. Especially if we're going to spell it with a Y at the end.
But Micah had.
Because if it was Brecklin with a Y at the end, that's super white.
Micah had a little friend, and she was cool.
Yeah.
And she had some forums. Do you remember forums? Like, they're all weapons, like Converse weapons.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And they were sweet.
They're pretty legit.
I'm like, she's got some drip.
Like the old school, like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson shoes.
And she could hoop, too, for like a little itty-bitty. She was like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
She was like having people over at the birthday party. I was like, okay.
Just crossing people up.
So she wasn't Lily. She was just,
yeah.
What? Regular. Yeah, but I went to bed. So anyway, getting back to that. So no love for Amber. So you could do deviled eggs. Deviled eggs.
Okay.
You can put any piece of protein you want on top.
Okay.
You could do a piece of bacon. If she really wanted to stretch her talent, she could do like a little piece of fried shrimp. She could do nothing. She could just go with deviled eggs. Or, isn't this cool how I have suggestions for something that's a gift? Or,
You're like, I've got a better idea.
Or like an egg bake.
Yeah. Oh, like a casserole?
Yes, but no.
Kind of.
So we've learned we got a new recipe.
Casserole adjacent,
yeah. That has like cottage cheese, like whipped, like
okay, extra protein.
Blended up, and just like a hint of like almond flour.
Oh, okay.
And it makes it super airy, so
yeah,
it's not
light
dense.
and fluffy.
Yeah, and then you can go with about 55 proteins in there. Just a little crumble sausage,
55.
a little ham, a little bacon, a little Canadian bacon, a little American bacon.
Is there, I don't know if this is appropriate to say or not, is there like a traditional, it's called Black History Month, so I'm going to say, is there like a traditional black dish or like a family dish
that I'd like?
Yeah. Because maybe I'm wrong here. I don't think deviled eggs, and I go, black people. That doesn't. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Not that saying that
I bet there's some
black people don't enjoy.
There's some strong ties
For deviled eggs?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm not gonna call it a black thing, but It's certainly
popular in the community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, like, if I got invited to the cookout, I'm not saying I would, but if I got invited to the
It
cookout,
wouldn't be at a cookout, but it definitely would be at Easter.
okay, Easter. Okay, that's a good
Oh,
one.
100%.
All right.
100%.
So it's a popular dish.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
what I was asking. I didn't know.
Yeah. You're going to have
because it's all so deviled eggs kind of like bring the communities together. They're very popular in both circles.
Yeah. Sure.
A lot of whites enjoy the
It's like the
deviled eggs
black
as
and
well.
white cookie.
Well, that's got it right in the name. I mean, that's
for me.
Yeah.
I don't eat a lot of traditional
Okay.
African American meals. Like I don't like collard greens.
I know you're not a big chitlins guy.
I hate chitlins. I hate cornbread.
Do you hate cornbread?
It's so foul.
Oh, I like cornbread a lot.
I don't like anything that dense.
Okay, sure.
And I'm not doing the honey and butter and all that.
I love honey and butter on cornbread.
Yeah, that's about it.
Is it okay? Is there?
I like chicken, but so does everybody.
I mean, yeah, chicken's good.
I like ribs, and so does everybody.
Yeah,
but I didn't eat ribs until like
you were older.
Way older. I was well into my 40s.
Sometimes I get confused between what's like a traditional black food and what's like a southern food.
That there is
because there's a lot of overlap, right? So where does grits fall?
Grits would fall as a southern dish.
Okay. Do you like grits?
I love grits.
Grits are one of my favorite. I love grits. Although I think I prefer cream of wheat.
While we're on this black thing, there's this slow jam called Two Occasions.
Okay.
And I always think of it sometimes when I think of food because it was kind of this sappy little
love song. You know,
it's like,
ballad.
I only think of you on two occasions. That's day and night. But anyway, that's when I think of grits.
All the time?
All the time. Day and night. Especially cheesy. And they've like morphed. Every good restaurant.
Ooh, cheesy grits are good. You like shrimp grits?
Love it.
Oh, really good.
Yeah. So there's a place I met Shriner.
Okay.
For lunch a handful of weeks ago.
UNO's own?
And I was tempted to
get shrimp grits,
but I'm not on it yet.
Yeah. I will also
and they're pretty good there.
I know this is blasphemy to a lot of people in the grits community.
I feel like is there a Joe Pesci moment?
What?
How long does it take you to cook a grit? It's a great movie, by the way.
I also I like the cheesy grits. I like the shrimp and grits. I also don't mind like a sweet grits.
No,
I know
that's
that's blasphemy.
So I actually think that's a my people thing.
Really?
Sugar?
I'll do like butter.
Butter's fine.
Butter, cinnamon, sugar is what I'll do.
I'm not.
So
eat oatmeal.
Well, so I grew up eating cream of wheat.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Which I really love cream of wheat.
Yeah, so you guys were frugal too.
And I would, yeah. I mean, yeah. But I would like to sweeten up the cream of wheat. You know, it's good.
T-Mac is like, you're gonna let the name Zoe ride? Is Zoe okay? So do you know why Zoe almost didn't make the cut?
Why?
Because her mom thought that when she grew up and people wouldn't take her seriously when she went to apply for a job.
Because it's too childish.
Yeah.
So I think Zoe's okay. I don't think of Zoe as childish or necessarily white.
Yeah. She wouldn't like me because I don't think she likes brothers, but one of my favorites is named Zoe.
Like people that are related, brothers.
Saldana? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why I don't immediately think of it as
she's borderline. She's not exactly like Erykah Badu or anybody. What do you mean?
She's not like your type.
No, she's not like oozing black power.
No. She's
no.
It's got a little pigmentation.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. A little melanin in there,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's not like Zooey Deschanel or anything.
Who is that? Oh, is that a designer?
No,
that's a designer.
It is not. No.
Really?
No, it's an actress.
I thought I got one.
No. Have you seen Elf?
Elf?
Yeah. The movie Elf with Will Ferrell.
Oh, yeah.
His girlfriend.
Oh,
that's Zooey Deschanel. So very white.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, Zoe Saldana was not that. She's more cultural than that.
I don't know how much free time your wife has.
Yeah.
But yeah, no cakes.
Okay. Well, you know,
And I'm not even going to fake. I wouldn't eat it.
it's just, you know,
I'd be like, oh, that's nice. And
Ca-
it would sit.
cakes are nice. You can like decorate them and stuff, and be like, "Happy Black History Month, DB." You know, just like put it on there.
What would you decorate it with?
Well, frosting. That's what you decorate cakes with, DB. I don't know. I know you haven't eaten cakes in a while, but
I was never a cake guy. I had the same birthday cake for 14 years of my life.
Cake is only okay.
Yellow cake, white frosting. And whatever cool. Remember the little candy things that you could get? Sometimes it was Super Friends, sometimes it was, and you would like eat the decorations.
Yeah.
It was the same every year.
I mean, I assume if we were doing it on Friday, we'd do a chocolate cake, but
I don't eat chocolate cake.
you don't eat any cake, so it doesn't really matter.
I'm certainly not eating chocolate.
Just trying to make sure it's appropriate for the occasion.
Yeah, on a roll. There's only 28 of them this month, right? No leap year. That was last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on Olympic years on the 4s. The leap years are.
Oh, that's a good little cheat code.
Yeah.
I think I might add that to the roll.
So no Summer Olympics, no leap year.
Cool.
2020 kind of messed us up a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, because they skipped us because of that vid.
Yeah, because of the vid.
Yeah.
That's all right though.
Yeah, I heard it's back.
Guess who? Like Slim Shady?
Yeah, guess where it's originating? Not here.
Canada.
No.
Oh, okay.
Of all people, Ravi David Duke. You didn't jump at that where it's originating? That's interesting.
I'm a shooter from Providence.
He was nice though.
He was pretty nice.
He was
He was a little disappointing compared to what he came in as a prospect, but he was a good shooter. He's a good ball player.
Yeah, he was nice.
I thought it was funny that I don't know, we had him for like 3 years at Providence.
Mm-hmm. Who's we?
I
The
just,
Big
like
East?
as like a basketball watching community.
Yeah. That's kind of loose.
Yeah,
That's a loose we.
it is.
The basketball watching community.
It's like a royal we, you know. But nobody ever like acknowledged the fact that he was named, that he had the same. I don't think he was named after the guy, but he was named the same thing as like a very famous and prominent racist person.
Yeah.
We're just not gonna pay any attention to that at all. Like we're not even gonna acknowledge it because every time I heard his name, I was like, this is awkward. And I watch a lot of Big East basketball and just didn't. Nobody even brought it up. It's like we're not going to acknowledge the elephant in the room.
Oh shoot. It's fine.
You know,
It's fine.
That's all.
the hood wearing elephant in the room. We're not going to acknowledge that at all.
No sir.
Okay, that's fine.
Hey, so what do you want stat of the night last
I
night?
would love a stat of the night because they were so many ugly ones.
Well, we got it from Matt DeMarinis.
oh, that wasn't a final though, was it? That was
No,
midway.
but it was incredible for 20 minutes.
It was deeper than that. I thought it was like into the second half.
So
I don't remember when the text came in.
they got it to 10% for the rest of the team about 3 or 4 minutes into the second half.
Woof.
But at one point, Bryce Williams was shooting 53.8%.
Mhm.
The rest of the team combined was shooting 5.3%.
That's very bad.
That is incredible.
Hard to do.
It's incredible.
Really hard to do.
That's incredible.
He
Did you
at that point
did you
the rest
like
of the team
did
had
you love
2 points.
Were you vibing with my Berkey will do just about anything
Bro.
at any time? He said, bro, you got to get serious for a minute.
In the second half,
Now, he wasn't the reason for the treason, but
no, but he was sort of a microcosm of the like, what the hell are we doing here offensively? I think he had back-to-back possessions where he went running left-hander toward the baseline air ball to
did you see the back down turnaround jumper?
fade away, turn around over the backboard air ball.
Yeah.
And then I was just like,
How about the one he just underhanded out of bounds?
it's just what we're doing around here.
It's like, what's wrong with him?
My man's came back and he's just feeling it.
Living his best life.
0 for 10 is a tough hang.
Yeah.
0 for 10 is a tough hang. I get the one at the end of the game, so I'll give him an 0 for 9.
What about the one at the end of the half?
Not great.
That wasn't.
Which one? End of the first half?
Yeah.
Okay, so 0 for 8. We'll give him 8
Yeah,
bad
that
ones.
was-
We'll give him 8 bad
It was
ones.
a decent look, but it was kind of desperation.
I'll give 8. We'll give him 8 bad ones. 0 for 8. 8 bad decisions, two explainable ones. It was pretty rough out there for our guy. Not as rough as It was as rough. I'll take that back. In one particular shot, I don't know if all of them were as bad as Raleigh Wooster dribble, pull up,
That's that
contested three.
So that's kind of driving me crazy.
It makes me so mad every time he shoots a three.
So they needed a shot, and I'm not going to pick everybody. There's enough to go around, but the look off of a guy that's in a shot ready position.
Mm-hmm.
He's to your left. Now I get it. It's Berke,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you don't see him as a viable open guy from three,
Mm-hmm.
but he's wide open, and you proceed to shoot a contested three
Mm-hmm.
after two more dribbles. Like that, you can't do.
Also,
that you can't do.
like if you're Raleigh Wooster, you don't get to decide that someone else is a less viable three-point shooter than you. No, that's a thing. I'm not being mean. That's a real thing.
You're going into like the self-awareness. Like,
Yes. Like if you're Raleigh Wooster and you looked at Berke and you go,
I do think situational IQ is a thing.
like you can't sit.
The situational IQ is definitely a thing.
If you're Raleigh, you can't sit there.
But
See,
that's for everybody.
no, it is. But you can't see Berke and be like, not a viable three-point shooter. Let me hoist this thing. Like that's not a real thing. You don't get to do that. If you're Bryce Williams, 100%, you can make that decision. If you're Connor Essegian, 100%, you can make that decision. I'll even give you Sam Hoiberg. 100%, you can make that decision. If you're Raleigh Wooster, you don't get to say, that guy's not a good enough three-point shooter. Let me hoist this thing contested off the dribble.
Yeah.
Nope. 100% no. That's no. Never okay. There was a lot, for as much as we credited shot selection for Nebraska over the past handful of weeks,
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty bad last night.
Yeah, so you got to watch real time. Go back. It's tough,
Mm-hmm.
but I did it in key plays.
Mm-hmm.
You know, YouTube has that
Yeah.
for key plays.
Catch up.
I don't have a problem with either one of Essegian's late threes.
I don't either. I didn't either. In
I
real
don't-
time, I did not.
I don't.
He's your best three-point shooter. They were good looks.
He's open.
Yeah, they were good looks.
So I don't.
If he doesn't shoot those, he can't be on the floor.
I don't.
Right?
I don't
Like if
have any
he's not
problem
going to
with
shoot that ball, he cannot be on the floor.
Don't have any problem.
I didn't either. I thought they were good looks. Somebody in the chat, and we'll get into this.
We got plenty of time.
Yeah, we can do whatever
Shane
we
ain't
want.
going to break until we tell him to go to break.
And then he immediately
Shane. No, I want to practice something.
Oh, I thought that was the cue.
Kill the music, please. Thank you. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
So
I have zero power, so I just wanted to exert myself.
no, I appreciate that. Who asked it here? So I lost it. It was Captain. Goes, so why would Williams give up the potential game-winning shot if he's the only one shooting it well, or if he's shooting it the best? So there's a couple things here. Number one, this is something I've talked about all year. I don't think Bryce Williams, as good as he's been, and I would argue that he deserves to be first-team All-Big Ten. I think I would make that argument. As good as he's been and as good as he is, I don't think he's naturally wired as a one.
I don't think that has anything to do with this particular sequence, though.
Okay, what do you think it was?
I think it was a dribble drive kick. This time I wouldn't overthink it because he took.
It's just the right basketball play.
It's the right basketball play.
I'm fine with that
because he took plenty of tough shots, and he took plenty of shots when they needed a basket.
And he's hit a couple this year.
So I don't.
Maryland and Iowa. He's hit a couple.
Yeah, I think we're over analyzing that one. But two things can be true at once.
Yes.
Do I think he has an alpha mentality, like I got to get mine?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what last night was.
That's
just
fair.
Just my opinion.
The only
Essegian was wide
he was
open.
He was. The only thing I would push back on that, and I know you're not a big LeBron guy. I'm not a huge one either. But the only thing I would push back on is sometimes the right basketball play in every other
So
context.
who did he kick it to in the corner for Cleveland, and you're still mad?
I'm not mad, but
Because it benefited the team you cheer for.
Corver.
Yeah.
Kicked it to Corver.
Yeah.
Corver missed the three. Corver's a great shooter. You want Corver to take that shot.
Every time.
But there's going to be certain people that you look at it, you go, hey, you're LeBron. You need to take that shot, even if somebody else is more open. And LeBron says, hey, I made the right basketball play, right? But when it doesn't work out, you go,
Whatever you thought was that Bryce Williams, because you have to go back and watch it.
I don't have a problem with
No, I'm just saying,
Connor taking that shot. But
whatever you thought you wanted Bryce to do, getting to the 10, was that going to be better?
A better look or a worse look
than what a Sejan got.
But I'm trying to answer Captain's question here, right? Because I agree with you. I don't have a problem with capping like crunch. I don't have a problem.
Ooh, tough on the old roof of the mouth.
It was so tasty.
Is it?
I like it a lot. I only eat it once a year though. At Christmas, I eat the Christmas crunch.
Oh, is it multicolored?
Yeah, it's just all it's like Christmassy colored. It's red and green, and it's like.
Are they flavored?
I don't really know. I think they all taste.
What would green taste like in cereal?
It's like just a general berry flavor.
Oh, so it's just dye.
Yeah,
Ravi,
that's fine.
Ravi here for ingesting dye.
I mean, it's Captain Crunch. You thought it was organic?
I thought, whoa.
You thought it was like, oh, that's the spinach in there for your health.
This dude just talks to me in the old kind of way, doesn't he? Shay, you can start the music. This dude. What a cocksucker. You're like. So you thought it was organic?
I mean,
really?
What do you think the green stood for?
Do you think I thought it was organic?
I don't know what you're thinking half the time.
Did you just curse?
No.
Oh.
Not technically. It's like a Bernie Mac curse.
I don't know, man.
What'd you think the green was?
I don't know, but we may need a longer break. You know what I mean?
I'm going to blame it on low blood sugar. That's DBM Ravi Lulla. More for that Sports Live coming up.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
The rebound into the hands of Ulis on a tap back. Ulis down the floor. Williams, another dunk, and he's tied the game at 21. Ulis is saving Nebraska's bacon, my friends.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Barely. And reminding you to make sure you keep those eyes focused and straight ahead on the road. Even when Damon's saying some crazy stuff, you got to stay locked in.
Oh, no.
On the road.
That's displaced.
I would
put that on me.
I would never do that. Keep those eyes focused and straight ahead. You've got one job as a driver. That's to drive. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Shane, who started that? Rob, you clearly started that.
What did I do?
It's fine.
No, so here's what I do.
The cork soaker thing?
Yeah, it's SNL.
Yeah, it's a big SNL skit. We enjoyed it. No, so Steven, my actually guy over here, says I was hating on Captain Crunch. I don't know how you got that. I like Captain Crunch, especially Christmas Crunch.
So let's not. Okay, I'm going to say this and move on. I could be wrong.
Okay.
There are flavored, and I get it's February, so lighten up. There's flavored colored cereal.
I would never say that.
There is flavored colored cereal.
Yes, but I think a lot of times the colors don't correlate to separate flavors.
That doesn't mean like it has to be organic.
No, you said green.
No, you were just being you.
Yes, I was being a soaker of corks. As is, long.
I get it, like old school Fruit Loops and old school Fruity Pebbles, like that. That tastes generally the same. But
yeah, regardless of color.
Yeah, but
no, regardless of the color of the cereal. There's a lot of different colors in Fruit Loop, but they all taste the same.
It's plural.
Colors, sorry.
And loops.
Oh, okay. There's this big controversy about how you spell fruit on the box. Apparently, some places it's spelled traditionally, like how fruit is actually spelled. Mm-hmm. And some places it's spelled with the double O, so it matches the loops, like Fruit Loops.
The more you know.
Fruit.
The more you know. I haven't had.
I think it's by region.
Probably 3 years.
Yeah,
we have a pantry full.
I'm just saying the reason I thought organic was because you went green, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I felt like that was.
I suppose kiwis are green.
And for people that don't have video, it was all about how you looked at me too. It did something to my soul. You kind of cut me.
I do have a problem sometimes looking very condescending with my face.
There's no way that would be true.
I would say that I'm going to work on it, but I'm not.
That wasn't your New Year's resolution?
I mean, look, we're 37 years deep at this point. Like, I think kind of is what it is.
There's plenty of time to change. I'm way different at 50 than 37.
I did a lot of my changing around like 29, 30, so I think I'm good.
Oh, and by the way, you can double dip because of the weekend.
On what?
So put a candle in it.
Double dip on?
To get Natasha to do like a meat cake.
Yeah, but I mean, Saturday.
You want a different type of meat?
Saturday's March 1st.
You could do link sausage too.
Saturday's March 1st.
Even though I prefer crumbled or patty.
So I mean, once we get to March, like I'm gonna stop being nice to you.
Oh, good. Make the deadline.
A link sausage cake sounds awful.
That's the thing. Is Damon out here trying to get people to make meat cakes? I don't know. That sounds terrible. Just the idea of it makes me uncomfortable.
Well, if you baked eggs, I mean, that's an egg cake.
No, that's a casserole.
And wouldn't it be like a quiche or something?
Robbie here for semantics.
Big quiche guy over there, huh? So you're arguing.
Who said quiche?
He did. He goes, first of all, you're correct.
No,
he goes,
first of
like
all,
a quiche
when's the last time you had quiche? Last 10 years?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Big Le Peep guy? Like what?
Oh, I don't make it. I would just go over to my.
They got one of those close to my house.
Brothers or something. And they'd make it.
I'm not saying their name again. They're not paying me enough.
Like my mom would make it or something.
Oh,
I wouldn't make it.
Mom
I wouldn't have any idea how to do that.
Big quiche guy.
Oh yeah.
Of course, Steven goes, limes could be green. You putting lime in cereal? That sounds gross. I don't want that.
I'm still tripping off the organic thing. It was uncalled for.
I mean, let's be honest. A lot of what I say is uncalled for. I don't know why that one in particular struck you.
I don't know. It's kind of how you looked at me.
Like I'd say a lot of out-of-pocket things.
Yes.
I'm surprised that one elicited a response.
About 15 times a day. About 15. Who shot the ball too much last night?
I mean, I would argue Bearcay did.
Yeah.
I think that was probably a little aggressive on his.
Did you like Juwan's shot attempts?
Not particularly, no.
But only a couple.
I
get it. You're going to look at the box score and you're going to see 0 of 5. 2 or 3 of those, I feel like he was open.
Yeah.
I don't love him shooting it, but
he's not Raleigh in the sense that I never want him to shoot them.
But Raleigh shot 33%.
Not for the year.
No, I know. But
from 3. No, I'm talking about from 3.
Last night, though. And I get
he
it.
He didn't shoot 33% from 3.
I get it. Okay. I know. I just meant.
Yeah, in general.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying Raleigh can't ever shoot. I don't want him ever shooting 3s. I'm not that.
It was the 2 bad ones.
Yes. I'm not there with Gary. I understand in order to do what he needs to, he probably has to keep people honest a couple times a game. 5 seems aggressive. 5's a little much for me. But I think 13 shot attempts in general, kind of in a vacuum, is about where he needs to be. Now, some of them didn't look great. I'm not even talking about the 3. Some of the drives that he took, there was one particularly in the second half on the baseline where he never got an advantage and never, he was never open, and he was kind of just like, yeah, we're going to put this thing up anyway. Those are the ones I have a problem with Juwan. I need you to be a little bit smarter about when you're taking that aggressiveness, if that makes sense.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
This is real.
Yeah.
How are you when somebody says, hey, smell this?
I generally am like, what are you trying to do here? I don't want to, I'm not interested there.
Okay.
Why?
Because I think Zoe was messing with my lotion and my hands smell like vanilla, but I wanted you to smell them. But I didn't want you to be like, I didn't want to put my hands in your face and you're like weirded out. I just wanted verification.
With the context, I'm okay now.
Does it smell like vanilla?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to get that little girl.
Usually when somebody's like, hey, smell this with no context, I assume it smells gross, and I'm not trying to.
I'm not 14 in high school.
I don't know. Man. I don't know.
God, I can't.
I'm not trying to smell weird stuff. You know? Like if you put your hand in your face and you're like,
stretch me daily.
And you're like, hey, smell my finger. Like that's not, I'm probably not.
I clearly said.
You're right. You gonna be okay?
Oh, super happy.
You have no sense. I'm done. None. I was like, cut it out, bro. Cut it out. What is wrong with you?
I don't know. A lot, probably.
I clearly said smell my hand.
No, yeah, so that's okay. It's all good. I do appreciate the context, though, of why it was happening.
Boy, I tell you.
I'm saying in general, if somebody's like, smell this. It's gonna
like what do you think Chris is thinking right now?
I smell like
Please get back to the game. Please get back to the game.
probably like, thank God we moved to digital so we can do this longer. That's my guess is what he's thinking. I don't know. He's probably thinking like, hey,
I almost dry heaved.
These yahoos are doing almost 10K live a day. Like that's probably cool.
Yeah, that's wild.
He's probably cool with that.
That is wild.
like freaking bats.
I mean, not to backpat.
You know, he's probably just thinking, hey, these guys are gold.
Incredible. I can't believe that's. How do you outdo yourself?
I don't know. Hey, DB, smell my finger. I'm just saying, it's a small leap from smell my hand to smell my finger. It's a small leap.
Vanilla, man. Vanilla.
It does smell good. I don't think it's what you were trying to smell like today, but it smells good.
No. I want to get back to shot selection at some point.
I thought
wow, you are wild.
Thought it was questionable at best. Don't worry, we got a lot of time today. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up.
We will be back. will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Like if you put your hand in your face, you're like,
stretch me daily.
and you're like, hey, smell my finger. Like that's not. I'm probably not.
I clearly said.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, wrapping up hour number 1. I'm pretty sure DB's coming back. I'm Ravi, Lulla. We're here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill on the Pillar exterior stage. We were having, as you could tell by the bump that Shane brought us back with, we were having a really in-depth, serious basketball conversation about shot selection. And how it's, a little questionable at best at times. I did think that was, I don't know. So somebody asked me yesterday after the game, or at halftime maybe, they go, hey, this score is pretty brutal. Is it just that
25-21?
Yeah, is it just that good a defense, or is it really bad offense? I had the feeling, my sense was the defense was good, the offense was worse.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was the defense is so good that we're getting this unbelievable defensive battle. It felt like, hey, they're pretty locked in defensively, both ends. I like that. The offense is truly dreadful.
Well, and the thing about it is, and that's one. So Michigan had 14 turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
That's one less than they average.
Yeah.
Every night out. But you're watching that, and it's like, you know why I ask you. And if you don't watch, maybe that's only the handful of times you've seen Michigan, but obviously watch a lot of college basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You saw firsthand last night why I always ask you.
Would I take their backcourt?
Are you sure Michigan's a good basketball team?
Yeah. No, it's fair.
I ask once a week.
Yeah.
Why do I ask once a week? They have 20 some odd wins. They're tied they're at the top of the Big Ten conference.
Yes, indeed.
They only have 3 Big Ten losses, right?
And you watch them play, and you don't necessarily say how, but you kind of are like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same team.
They make me turn my nose up.
That's how Wolf and Golden play all the time. Now, Nebraska's tougher on Golden than most just because of how they defend, but that's a lot of what Wolf does.
Yeah. He floats a lot.
That's a lot of what Wolf does every time Michigan plays. And then you just hope that their guards stop taking – I don't know why they put Gales back in the starting lineup. But anyway, you know what would have really been funny?
What's that?
I would love to see if Gales Jr. had come to Creighton. Could he
what it would have looked like?
What it would have looked like with Coach Mack in that offense. Could he have gotten him under control?
I do think that's a real thing.
Oh, well, you started to see a little bit with Isaacs.
You saw it with Isaacs. I think you've seen it with Jemiah. I think you've seen it with a lot of guys that – I mean, you saw it with Marcus Foster. He's probably the best example. Marcus Foster, sophomore year at Kansas State, had gotten way out of pocket.
Well, he's like a 14-6 guy, and the shooting percentage wasn't great.
Well, so he had the great freshman year.
But he was a bucket, though.
He had the great freshman year.
He was just a malcontent.
True, but he also yes, but freshman year he had the great efficient season coming out of nowhere. And then sophomore year, he got pretty out of pocket with shot selection and what he was doing, and he was a malcontent, right?
Yeah, Gales Jr. was almost yours.
Yeah.
Or ours. No, wait. You did the loose. What did you call it? The wee?
The royal wee.
The royal
the wee? The wee use? Sorry, I'm a child. You say like wee or doo I'm gonna laugh.
I don't even. Right. And here's the thing: I don't even know why I looked to Shane for help because he's quietly just as bad. He's just busy.
He's just looking for cuts,
saving, and
he's just looking for cut ups.
A little deviant. Take that little dude anywhere.
No, I do. You put your hand in your face. You're like,
stretch me daily,
and you're like, hey, smell my finger. Like that's not. I'm probably not.
I clearly
see. He's not trying to help you out.
Not at all.
Can't look to him for help.
No, and he plays both sides too.
He does.
It's terrible.
He's a fence sitter.
Wait till you get your own segment here in March.
Watch out, Shano.
What's that?
Can't wait.
A segment's a portion of a show. Never
That's not true.
No.
We'll have the camera set up.
I know. It's gonna
be fun.
It's gonna get a little dicey up in here.
Well, that will get dicey, yes.
Thank you, DB.
And then everybody can see the faces I make at you. And
I got things to say, so let's bring it on.
Can't wait.
Yeah, can't wait.
But no, I do think it's an interesting. I do think context for guys like Gale is really important, and I do think it's
you look at that backcourt and you're like, how?
Yeah, I don't know how they've won 21 games or whatever it is. I don't know how they win any games turning the ball over 15, 16 times a game. I know Wolf is really good and Golden.
What they shoot from 2-point though? I think they shot almost 60% from 2-point
yesterday. I know on the season they're way up there.
They score the basketball from
really good
at paint.
You know what's funny is when they don't turn the ball over, one of the most efficient teams in the country offensively, which is how it happens, right? But when you're watching that live, you're not doing the computing in real time necessarily. And so what your eyes tell you, and then the win-losses, you're just like, how is this happen? It's not quite Wisconsin where you go, I don't know if that's real. I don't know if Michigan's real either.
Yeah. A team won last night that scored 25 points at the half.
Yep.
They scored one less
they
point
scored fewer in the second
half.
Yeah. If it weren't for, fouling or whatever, like they probably would have won it at 46.
I didn't understand the fouling with 12 seconds. What were they trying to do?
I don't know. I think they misexecuted the fouling up 3. I think that's all it was.
What's your number? Mine's 5.
It's got to be under 7 for sure. Now you can't go too late
because you get a desperation.
You end up maybe fouling a 3-point shooter. So it's got to be above 3, in my opinion. I don't want to go below 3.
The intentional foul, the foul with 12-4, I was like, really?
But this is a good discussion because it's everybody just says, oh, you're up 3, you got to foul. It's harder than just that. Like to actually execute well, it's harder than just fouling up 3, right? Because you have to time it right. As we saw yesterday, 12's too much, 10's probably too much. 7's probably right on the border for me. But you're talking about basically a 4-second window where you can do this effectively between 3 and 7 seconds. Maybe you've got 5 if you want to go all the way down to 2, but I'm not comfortable doing that. So when people let it play out and just say, hey, let's just play our defense, we trust it, I get it. I know other people lose their minds. I know the analytical people lose their minds. But it's not as easy to just foul up 3. Like, it's not that easy to execute. Like, it's actually really, really difficult. And you're basically going against all of your defensive training. So unless you've practiced it really specifically for that 4 or 5 second window, you're asking guys to do something they're not used to doing. And whenever you do that in a game, especially in a pressure situation, you're asking them to fail.
I get it. I'm probably the only non-Arizona fan that was watching Caleb Love get ready to hit a game-tying 3 at the buzzer at 11:40 at night.
Probably, yeah.
But even on the inbounds, it might have been for Schill. I can't remember who the color guy was. Color.
Yeah.
Kept saying foul. Even on the inbounds.
Yeah.
It was like foul. Now there was, I think, 3-1.
Yeah, so in that situation, if you're inbounding, you can probably foul immediately on the catch, right?
Yeah.
But you have to be close enough on the catch to do that.
But it was just... It's a philosophy that I think people, I guarantee you, the good basketball teams go through that all the time.
It's an easy thing to say. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And then people get on Coach Mack about it because every once in a while it won't go his way.
Well, who did we see that against where it didn't pan out and then they got the key miss and couldn't get the offensive rebound? Probably 5 games ago. And it's like, do you miss intentionally?
Oh.
Is it too early to miss? What game was that?
Yeah, because it was with Jemiah Neal at the free throw line, and he was missing.
And then Jason Green had the good miss later. And the intentional miss was like at 12 seconds, right?
Yes, it was earlier than some people thought it was. Who was that? Was that they lost that game. So it must have been UConn. It had to be UConn, right?
Yeah.
So again, those things are really easy to be like, oh, you just intentionally miss here and you do this and the time. But like all of that's way harder than it seems. I think it's something we say. I don't know, you get mad at people for doing this in football all the time, where there's like a really easy talking point that is not nearly as linear as, oh, just foul up 3.
Right.
Like that's not like try it sometime.
Right.
Like I just try it. It's hard to get guys.
Well, I argue. So this is in my other life. This is in my baseball life.
Mhm.
You know, Nebraska had trouble fielding bunts.
Sure. Yeah.
Saturday, and the argument, the discussion was, well, that's something you work in fall ball and in camp all the time, and I'm like, the mechanics of it when it happens
Live, way different.
are just different, especially when you're trying to throw to a moving target too. Now it's hear my heart. I'm not saying, because you had multiple pitchers do it.
Yes. To have it be a struggle to that extent
Which
is
to
different.
his point was they don't work it enough. And I'm like, I don't know if I would say that because I know things happen all the time in games that you coach the opposite.
Yeah.
Right? That's what makes coaching tough.
Yeah.
If it always went exactly what you told guys to do,
Be the easiest profession in the world.
It'd be a lot easier. So it's just interesting. I use that as an example.
Well, there's another example that when Creighton would struggle with free throw shooting a few years back, especially, people were like, oh, you just got to work it more at practice. Oh, you got to do it when they're tired. It's like, you don't think they're shooting free throws in practice?
Yeah.
Like that is clearly like this is not a physical issue, obviously, right? There's some mental block here with guys shooting in games. But yeah, it's a super. I mean, even it's hard enough. And if you haven't coached basketball, I don't expect you to know this because it seems easy, but it's hard enough getting guys to foul correctly, just regular foul correctly at the end of games. You're trying to extend a game because it's something they're not used to doing. You train them to play one way 99% of the time, and then 1% of the time you're asking them to go against that training. That's really tricky. That's hard to do. That's hard to execute well.
Who was it? It was Creighton, I think, over the weekend. Nope, it wasn't Georgetown. It was a game. It was a
St.
game
John's?
this weekend. Might not have been Creighton.
Oh, okay.
Where the players kept looking to the bench for when to foul, and they let probably 9-10 seconds come off the clock, and their coach was furious.
Sure.
Was it SEC? It might have been an SEC game.
But then you have situations where it's like, hey, we want to foul, but we want to try and steal it for 4 seconds first, and then you have to foul, and then it's like, oh.
You know where you see that a lot?
Where?
After you make a team work. So let's say there's 38 seconds left. So you could get the ball back with a good chunk, even though they salt clock, right?
Yep.
And get them 8 seconds to get it up the court. Another 8 seconds come off the clock. And then you
get a foul.
Juwan Gary had one.
Yep. And
Where
you're
it's
like, what are you doing?
You're he wanted the steal. It looked good. He got part of the arm. It's like you've done 3/4 of the work.
And then you mess it up.
Don't bail him out.
And then you bail him out.
Yeah, it happens. That's a real thing.
All the time.
That's a real thing. I'm with you.
So I get it when you want to say, hey, just foul up 3, or hey, you got to try and get a steal before you foul there. I'm just telling you, way harder to execute than it is to say out loud. Even if it's the right thing to do, I get that. Way harder to execute.
Are you ready now to say how many they have to win?
Nebraska?
I think everybody is.
Let's get to that next. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. We will be back. will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We're talking a little Nebraska basketball here as they fall to Michigan and put themselves in a little bit of a precarious spot heading into the final 3 games of the season, trying to make that NCAA tournament. What are you shaking your head for?
Because you said they're bubblicious. I don't think they are.
They're not precarious?
Precarious is fine. Off air, you said.
I said they're very bubbly.
Getting off of bubbly.
It is very bubbly.
Like champagne.
I do enjoy a nice champagne.
Overrated.
Or I like it.
It's fine.
I like the bubbles.
It's juice.
It's juice. I think you gotta try some different stuff. Not all of it's super sweet. You gotta get like a brute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tastes like an armpit with bubbles.
That's
That thing wet.
Pretty much.
What
It's fine.
Where are you going around tasting armpits for, man? That's weird.
Well, you get an inkling.
An inkling to taste an armpit?
You've had armpits your whole life. You've never thought like what they may taste like?
Not at once.
That's a lie. No. If you smell it, you can think.
No.
And we're not getting back into that smell thing because you're an idiot. Yeah. You're just not going to go along to get along. It's fine. It's fine. Have you ever eaten dirt?
Nah.
Like as a kid, sure, yeah.
All right, maybe that's a bad example.
Like Joe, dirt?
No, but if I said, tastes like dirt, and you'd be like, oh, you know what dirt tastes?
Well, if you're into like red wines and a lot, sometimes there's like we call it a terroir. It's the kind of earthy taste of a minerally taste of some wine.
Yeah, there's a local establishment.
Yeah.
That I used to do endorsements for.
Yeah.
And they would have wine tastings.
Yeah.
And they taught me a lot.
I enjoy good wine tasting.
Yeah, I'm kind of a snob.
I like nice wine.
Yeah, this sounds dumb, but I always keep it a buck. Wine tastes fine. It just doesn't work.
Not enough alcohol in it?
It's kind of shallow.
Hey, you got to go a little more.
Everybody drinks to catch one, DB. Yeah, you do you. No, I'm just serious.
Kegs and eggs in football. Let's go.
Although I do understand that argument for beer because like there's not a lot of alcohol in there.
I told somebody
it's also very filling. Like I get
very
full
very very staunch beer drinker.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just like, number one, again, doesn't really work unless you have 38. And I don't care if it's 7.8%,
but it's
10. There are some you can only get in flights.
It's a double IPA,
and I'm like. Yeah, I know this sounds bad. It's like a humble brag, but when you drink tequila on the rocks, that's not moving my needle a ton.
Accurate. It's like a kombucha, basically.
I don't need gut enzymes, thank you.
No, there's like a tiny bit of alcohol in kombucha, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a 0.1%. That's basically what you're talking about.
I was looking for a spray bottle.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was doing pork tenderloin, which is, man.
You big pork tenderloin guy?
No.
I didn't think that was in your wheelhouse.
I'm trying to be, efficient.
Okay.
With what was available. And I'm like, I need to spritz it because it was 2 tenderloins.
A little bit of that WC.
And the bottle that I washed out, it looked like an old clear bottle.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably like 4 under the sink.
Yeah.
And I forgot that's what I used to put my morning mix in with apple cider vinegar and cayenne.
Oh,
so
that probably tastes terrible.
So when I first sprayed it and it was on my outdoor oven, I was like, what's that hint of vinegar?
Ugh. Oof.
Yeah, it was apple cider vinegar.
I hate the smell of vinegar.
I hate kombucha.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
I mean,
either.
I gut it just because literally for the gut.
For the good. It's good for the enzymes
it's
and
awful.
probiotics and prebiotics and all that nonsense.
Pretty terrible.
So you don't think, speaking of bubbles, you don't think, like, what do you think Nebraska needs? Minnesota, Ohio State, Iowa. What do you think they need?
I think they for sure need 2 of the 3.
I think they need all 3, personally.
Well, if they win all 3, then I think they're off the bubble.
If they win all 3, I think they're in. I'm talking about what do they need to get in. I think they need all 3.
Well, so we're having this conversation of like whether they control their own destiny or not. That's how I think of bubbles.
Okay, that's fair.
But bubbles, when I think bubble, I think you need the benefit of the doubt.
So we'll go with that. That makes sense.
Does
to
that
me.
make sense?
Yeah, I probably hadn't thought of it in that context. But let's say they win 2 out of 3. They're at 19 and 12.
2 out of 3, I think
They're on the
you're
bubble.
a little bubbly.
Because then you don't control your own destiny. You're worried about bid stealers. You're worried about some of those other things. You get to 20 and 11, I think you're okay. Like, I think you're safe at 20 and 11. That would also put you at 10 and 10 in the league. You'd be 500 in a major conference. You'd have 20 wins, regular season in a major conference. I think you're in. 19 and 12, you're leaving some things up in other people's hands. Like, that's where I wouldn't want to be.
Okay.
Because 20 and 11, I think it's probably there's an outcry if Nebraska doesn't make it at that point. At 19 and 12, people understand. Not Nebraska fans necessarily, but as a college basketball community, as a basketball watching community.
The royal we?
The royal we. We as a basketball we would understand why Nebraska didn't make it if they're 19 and 12, especially if they don't do any work in the Big Ten tournament. If you're 20 and 11 and you're 500 in league play, I don't think you need to do anything in the Big Ten tournament.
Right now, you're probably the most concerned about a reeling Ohio State team in Columbus, right?
Yeah, probably.
Although
Minnesota's been froggy.
I said the day before, quietly, Minnesota's road wins is fairly impressive.
Also,
I think, look Minnesota up. I think they're 4-4 on the road in the Big Ten. Something like, I know they have 4 wins.
They've got 4. They do have 4 true road wins. They've got, I think they only have 3 road losses.
Not bad.
If I can count, which is questionable.
It's very subjective.
Yeah. I think nope, they're 4. You're right. I missed it.
4-4?
Yeah. 4-4 in conference on the road, which is great.
4-6.
You'll take that all day.
But that's quietly, that was a shocker.
And that's a team that seems like they like playing for their coach and they've been
Jenna Ben?
Yeah. It seems like they like playing for him. And they're like, that's not a team that's given up. That's a team that's still trying pretty hard for their coach. That's a little dicey.
Now I don't know how much I like Garcia playing against this Nebraska team.
Fair.
But he shoots it from distance more than most guys that look like him that Nebraska has seen.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be golden back to the basket.
No, he's a true stretch.
He'll stretch you.
He is a true
So
stretch.
I don't know what Nebraska's going to do with him on the perimeter as kind of one of those no middles.
Yeah, where do you put him, or who do you put on him?
But it's an interesting matchup.
It is.
He doesn't like to be touched either.
No.
So
you can maybe put like Gary on him, have him be really physical.
Get underneath him.
Yeah. Make him uncomfortable. Lengthwise is going to be an issue for Gary, but if you can make him uncomfortable physically, because they don't have what's the other option?
I just don't know if you can really play Mia that far away from the basket.
I certainly don't want to. He's too foul prone. You can't put him. You can't have him guard Garcia. I'd almost rather have Morgan or Burke out there. Morgan. That's the combination of Morgan and Burke. It's Morgan.
I like that. And that's 1 o'clock. That's Saturday, right? I think that's on the network.
Yeah, that's March 1, Saturday.
That's B10.
So I don't know. I'm a little, for what we thought shaped up for Nebraska to be a reasonable end of schedule, which it is. It's reasonable.
You know what this is? Part of it is I want to be right. Because I said 19, I felt like they were good.
Yeah. I don't feel good at 19.
But now,
I'm not saying they can't.
Now with these back three, I think they all turn into fairly questionable losses.
I mean, metrics-wise,
you got to have Minnesota and Iowa at home.
So metrics-wise, Ohio State would look okay, even if we all know that's probably not a great loss.
I just hope they keep reeling.
Ohio State?
Yeah, because that's Tuesday.
Yeah.
So they have some time to stay in their fields. That's a whole nother week for them to not shake it off.
Yeah, they're down. They're 3 in a row. They've lost 5 of their last 7, and then they've got USC on tomorrow.
Another fickle team.
So if they,
that's in Los Angeles, right?
It is. So in your mind, you'd want them to lose to USC and still be reeling for another week.
Yeah.
See, we're kind of getting into the range here.
When's the next one to snap the skid?
Is where I don't want to be I don't want to be too far into the skid. Oh, fudge. I mean, we saw it happen with Penn State, didn't we?
You got to keep Thornton out of the paint.
We just saw it with Penn
deal.
State. What did I say about Penn State? Hey, you don't want to be this far into the skid. They're not that bad of a basketball team. They haven't quit.
That's a bad matchup, though, because they turn you over.
I get that. But that's a team that had lost a bunch in a row. It looks like a bad loss. But what did we say? How many of those did we look at were 1 or 2 possession games? That wasn't a team that was going to roll over on you. Like that was one you have to win, but you can easily lose. I don't know how much different Ohio State is if they're coming in off of 4 straight losses. You have to hope they've given up at that point, and I don't know that you can count on that.
And it would be 4. That's right.
If they lose to USC, it'd be 4 in a row going into Nebraska. I don't love that.
But gosh, that's some time off.
It is. It's 6 days between USC and Nebraska, which is a really weird stretch for the end of the season.
Well, Creighton just did that.
Yeah, they took the full week off, Sunday to Sunday. Worked out okay for them.
Yeah,
come back to Georgetown.
Well,
it looked a little. It helps to be playing Georgetown, but
that team shouldn't be that bad.
No, they shouldn't. They've got some guys.
Yeah, they do. They got 3.
Yeah,
still don't know what Mac's problem is, but
yeah, don't really know what the deal with Sorber is. He wasn't playing. He's
1 foot out the door.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be a first-round pick, so he probably doesn't care that much.
Boy, this draft.
But Peavy's capable.
Oh, I know.
Peavy's super capable.
I didn't love his shot selection, though. I mean, I get it. Maybe he wanted to attack and get to the teeth, but, man, how many contestants are you going to?
How many times are you going to get shoved back in your face by Kalkbrenner before you decide, hey, maybe this isn't a great idea?
Yeah.
Maybe I need to take a little float game. Maybe we'll do something else.
Oh. How kind of my thing now is when I try to guess what I think is going to keep happening. So I'll say, do you like my and another floater and another one? What game was that? I think I texted 7
You
times.
did. Well, you also know how much I love floaters, so it makes me so mad.
It's a high percentage shot.
It's not. It's a terrible shot. The number of guys that shoot floaters versus the number of guys that practice floaters enough to deserve to shoot them is so out of whack. Oh. People saw like Derrick Rose do it, and they're like, "Oh, this is easy, floater."
Cute.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, this is cute little floater. Just toss it up there." You know who drove me the most crazy with it? You know who it is?
Nimhart.
Yeah. Especially
That's
because
a pretty good guess.
That is.
You've complained about a lot of floaters.
I have. It's.
He fell into that when they were trailing Saturday.
He especially when he had Kalkbrenner just like sitting there.
Well, so that's the one thing you probably made you the most crazy because even Neil reads that 2-man pretty well now.
Yeah.
Do you see how patient he was the other day with that ball screen? I'm like, that's pretty good.
Ashworth has come a long way with it. Neil reads it really well. Baylor read it really well. Even Trey read it pretty well. And this guy who's supposed to be this super good point guard, which he puts up good numbers and whatever.
You would have gotten over it if he would have finished better around the rim. I think that's
I would have
ultimately because you would have taken the.
But you know what I think it was? It's not that I don't think he couldn't read it. I think he was choosing to shoot it anyway. That's what bothered me. Is I think he saw it and chose to shoot the floater anyway. That's what bothered me.
They would be a tough scout. They will be much better out of the Big East than in
Creighton. Yeah, I think so.
I just watching all these teams. There's just so many teams like that.
That'll be better out.
If Vanderbilt gets in the tournament,
they're going to be tricky.
That's a tough team to play against.
So we need
Michigan would be a tough team to play against.
Yeah, they could be
because they're offensive efficient. I mean, don't let last night fool you.
No, Wolf floats a lot.
Yeah, but it's what they initiate offense through him a ton.
I get that. If I'm,
you know, who else would be a tough scout?
Who?
BYU.
Sure. Yeah, they're talented. They've got some.
I just look at these teams that because the whole middle talk yesterday,
like the middle class of the. Yeah.
So last night I got to 24 teams between 8 and 30.
Okay.
It's actually 8 and 35 because I left off like 3 or 4 teams and got to 24 that I felt like are Elite 8 Final Four caliber. Good luck with your brackets.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I shot a little high yesterday when I said 40, but not by much.
No, I was mid-20s.
Like I could.
It still seems like a lot.
I could probably talk you into a handful more. I'm guessing. Like I think you could get to 30 pretty easily.
So let me just give you one.
Yeah.
To see if you could talk me into it.
Okay.
Is Kansas Final Four caliber?
So Final Four caliber and capable of making a Final Four.
Okay,
to me are
the latter.
Okay.
The latter.
Yes, they're capable of making a Final Four.
So because they're in.
Yeah, they're capable of making a Final Four 100%. Yeah. Talent wise, and I don't love Kansas.
Yeah.
Right, and I do this thing, and I'll admit to this because. So I watch games.
Let me give you one more.
Yeah.
UConn.
Yeah.
I say no.
They're capable of making a Final Four, but part of it is I'm lowering my bar because of what the rest of the middle is.
They don't get enough easy shots.
No, but if he can get them locked in defensively, like I know I've seen them
they're
this
not capable. You're not understanding. You can't play. This is their problem.
Okay.
You can't play Neely and Caravan at the same time if Diarra's not doing his thing. Diarra's not doing his thing.
Yeah.
And do what they want to do. You can't. You can't because your next best defender is Ball.
Yeah.
And you're undersized.
Yeah.
I'm just telling, I don't think they can play the way that they want to.
Do you think there's a world in which?
So start with something different, like making shot. I don't think you could talk me into them being something I don't think they are, and that's a good defensive team.
No, I don't think they're a good defensive team. That's fair. I think they've shown they can be better than they have at certain points this year.
I think they'd have to be more efficient. I think they'd have to do it on the offense.
But they would have to be more efficient offensively. I look at them offensively, though, and I go, okay, if Caravan ever decides to look like he did before, and you've got McNeely, and you've got Solo Ball, you've got 3 guys that are pretty capable offensively, then all of a sudden I don't love matchups with a lot of those guys or with a lot of other teams. And I'll be honest, I'm giving, as much as I hate Danny Hurley, I'm giving him a lot of credit here. And I think I should.
It's another team I want you to watch closely. I've talked about them. You know, they were in a bet on it segment. I talked about them yesterday. They have wins in the 20s.
Okay.
Who am I talking about?
We talked about them yesterday.
Off air. I think it was during the
New Mexico.
Yep.
Yeah.
Watch New Mexico.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I would put New Mexico in the can make a Final Four.
Just pay. That's
like I would put them in that category. The Mountain West is a better conference than
it is
the West Coast Conference.
It is,
and they're better in their conference than Gonzaga is in theirs. Yet we view Gonzaga and New Mexico totally differently because of brand recognition with Gonzaga.
There's a couple of teams like that I think will be interesting.
You think it was Louisville in your group?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I watched Louisville a ton, so I probably appreciate them more.
Was Purdue?
Yeah, they're capable.
Yeah, I agree.
They're offensively, they can be a machine.
They're streaky and fluky, but they're capable.
Yeah.
But that's part of what I'm doing here is most of these teams are so, in my mind, closely packed together that you're going to be playing a lot of light competition if you're in that group to get to a Final Four. So I think in general, if there were 8 to 12 teams that I thought could win a national championship, the number of teams that then can make a Final Four is smaller because you're going to have to play some of those teams sooner.
Did you see an Illinois skid? Because I
What'd you do with Illinois?
Reluctantly, I put them in.
I think so too. Super capable. I don't trust.
They're playing with kids though,
and I don't trust Brad Underwood at all.
They're playing with kids.
They are. Yeah.
I mean, your 3 best players are pups.
Yeah, 100%.
So, in their that losing skid,
mm-hmm.
the scoring margin is almost 80.
Yeah. Yeah.
In 3 games, you're giving up 94 points a game.
Yeah.
94-7.
Which at this point in the season, I get they've had injuries and I get they've had guys in and out.
So could I ask you to be something or not? And I was like, okay, I won't. Let's say you're going to be loose defensively, but you sure can score.
Mm-hmm. And matchup-wise, that can sometimes get you to a Final Four. Or
they would be a tough scout.
100%. And physically, there's some people that just aren't going to be able to guard them. Like especially early on in the tournament, they're going to catch some teams that don't have the personnel to guard Riley and Tommy and Kasparis. Like you're just going to not. There's going to be a lot of teams that can't deal with that outside of the Big Ten. And that maybe is a team that will do better out of conference than in, just because you're kind of overwhelmed by the talent.
Where are they in the Big Ten standings? Because I always look at who could.
They were.
I always look at who could replace Nebraska or these teams that are on the bubble. Like I told you, I'm watching Xavier. I'm watching Oklahoma.
They're 9-8. So they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So they're 2 ahead of Nebraska?
6. Now they're 2 ahead of Nebraska. They were 1.5 ahead yesterday. They're tied with Oregon for 7th, 8th in the conference.
Would love to see them stub their toe a time or two to close this out.
Illinois. If Illinois stubs their toe a time or two, I'm not sure they make the tournament.
Yeah.
They're 17-11.
No, I know.
If they stub their toe twice, that's 13 losses. I don't know if they make it at that point. Like, Illinois is not, maybe because it's a soft bubble, but I don't think Illinois is the lock that we kind of assume. They go Iowa, at Michigan, Purdue at home to close this thing out.
You clearly have Nebraska ahead of Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want Carolina stealing a bit, getting in.
No, 100%.
But they can play their way in.
For sure. And talent-wise.
Because I think they're, 18-11 now?
Yeah, after the win last night against Florida State.
Still don't have really any good wins, but it is what it is.
They caught one early.
I'm being
facetious a little bit.
I'm exaggerating a little.
I'll say
they're just terrible in quad 1 games.
I
think they only have 1 quad 1 win.
Couple good ones early.
How many quad 1 wins does Carolina have?
I'm looking right now.
1-9 maybe?
1-10.
Okay.
They're 1-10.
Oh.
God, that's bad.
See, here's the thing. Is that funny?
I didn't think it was that bad.
You think I don't know that?
No, I
almost pegged the record.
No, but until you said it, I didn't realize it was that bad.
An old jokey Smurf, huh?
I didn't realize
that sucks.
That was really bad.
No, they're bad.
UCLA might be their best win.
Yeah,
I think UCLA is their best win.
And that was before Cronin went selfish.
I'm gonna be honest. North Carolina's a little Gonzaga-y.
No, you don't have to. North Carolina's out right now for me.
Yeah, and apparently Gonzaga is like a 3 seed, so cool. I don't know how that works.
Boy, you hate Gonzaga.
Well,
it's that one guy's fault.
Quit sliding in people's DMs, weirdo. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back. Hurrdat Sports Live here on the Pillar Exterior stage. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're brought to you by our friends over at Centris Federal Credit Union. Make sure you get to centrisfcu.org. Regardless of what your financial needs are, there's a good chance Centris can meet them. You can talk to one of their experts, either in person or online, centrisfcu.org. centrisfcu.org. They've got you covered, whether it's checking and savings accounts, just your regular old banking, or you need an auto loan, you need first home, dream home, refinance, whatever it is you find yourself needing at this moment in time, Centris likely has you covered. centrisfcu.org, federally insured, NCUA. Coming up in just a few minutes here, we're going to talk to Kendra Waite, Creighton great and current Omaha Supernova.
Superstar.
They are on a roll after a little, I think it was 3 out of 4 they struggled with earlier in the year.
A little leaky, closing out matches.
Yeah, they blew a 2-set lead. Then they had a 1-3 and an 0-3 within the course of a few matches, but it seems they've righted the ship back to 8-3 now. So we'll talk to Kendra in just a few moments here. I
might have to get off the Mike D bandwagon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What did Mikey Delaware say?
A lot of blasphemy he's spewing now.
I didn't even see it.
It's funny. He's like, just because Dan Hurley beat Creighton doesn't make them a Final Four team. That's not what we said, Mike D.
Also, Creighton beat him too, so, what do you want to do?
Mike D. That's not what we said.
No.
There's this fat middle portion of everybody that's not named. Auburn.
Yep.
Duque.
Mm-hmm.
Florida.
Yep.
And Bama.
Correct.
Right? Those are the teams that we think, ooh.
I don't think I'd put anybody else in that group. And
I don't either.
If you cut out Bama, I wouldn't be.
Me neither, because they can't stop a sieve.
Yeah.
Or they can't stop a soul.
Like I feel really good about 3. I feel really good about 3.
Bama's probably closer than you think.
I would put them in there, but you could talk me out of it.
Florida hasn't been like battle tested.
No, they're pretty good though.
I
definitely take Florida over Bama. That's your squad.
Yeah.
Your surrogate squad. But if you wanted to die on the hill that it's only 3, I probably wouldn't fight you.
Yeah. So Mike D, what we're saying is there's this, you like how I'm using as a visual.
I thought we were like cradling. Like Rock the Baby? People's elbow?
I
thought you were giving Mike D respect.
I thought you were going to go.
I am. That's my dude.
I thought you were going to go all AEW in the Mavs locker room and get in the trash can.
Yeah, wouldn't that something?
No, but after those 3 or 4 teams.
And so I'll give you the next tier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Houston.
Yep. Tennessee. They're in the next tier.
So all 3 of these teams are the same.
Can defend the hell out of the ball. Don't know if they can score at all.
Iowa State, Houston, and Tennessee.
Yeah, 100%.
And then after that, it's like, okay.
It gets.
So then there's like these 25 teams. Mm-hmm. And of those, so what we're saying, Mike, is of those 25 teams, you could make the case that any of them could make a run to the Final Four.
I could also make the case that any of them could lose in the first weekend. Like that's the point, right?
That's the variance.
There's a huge variance.
So it's not necessarily about whether Kansas is highly rated or overrated, because he's like, KU might be the most overrated team in the country. Yeah, having said that, I don't even really disagree, because I don't think anybody thinks that highly of them right now. But I will say this. If they made a run if they won 5 games in a row.
Even 4 is the Final Four.
4, yeah.
If
they won 4 games in a row.
Nobody's stunned.
That wouldn't surprise me.
And
it absolutely would not. So that's why I'm saying that the middle is so chunky.
Yes. They're also currently unranked, so they're not really overrated.
Well, they're on the cusp. Aren't they like 24?
I think they were just out, because there were 5 teams.
Yeah, maybe AP. You're right.
There were 5 teams that started in the top 10 that are currently unranked.
I just said these nuts. I'm like, you can't say that. It says these notes. Why is it these notes?
I think they're making a play on the D's nuts. I think it's a joke.
Got him.
They're doing some comedy.
By the way, Shane, alive or dead or alive, Welvin DeGreat.
Who?
That's Welvin.
What's a Welvin?
That's the guy. That's him.
He's great.
Welvin what?
Welvin, duh.
D-A. Great.
Ebonics, bro.
Oh.
That is.
Oh, my.
Why are you old mying him? You ain't see. Hey, man, you can't make fun.
I didn't say anything.
Mom, get my nuts. Get my nuts.
There's.
Your level of Prickville is just unfiltered. You can't help yourself. Stop it.
I'm just,
that's Welvin DeGreat.
I would have liked to.
Welvin drinks a ton.
Yeah.
He's on my algorithm on TikTok.
I could see that. I forgot what he looked like.
You're bad.
What? I didn't recall.
So what's he drink, a lot of water or what?
Yeah, Shane, water. It's clear. It's clear, all right.
That's hard to look at.
That's the dude.
Yeah, that's hard to look at.
You didn't know?
I didn't realize it was like that. Like I recognized his.
Oh, you didn't know?
I recognized his face, but there were some close-ups of a certain situation that was.
What tag team is that?
What? Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah, their entrance.
I'm not real good.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
I'm not real good on wrestling.
Shane, do you have that in the queue?
I am bad, and they know I'm bad.
No, that's my dude. That's nope. Those are my guys too.
That's Macho Man.
Tell you right now, live on
Same guy.
I don't know that one.
admit I don't.
Hey, do you want to get out of your wrestling thing and call?
Why don't you just
Kanye
just play the right one?
You're exactly right.
Let's call Kendra.
Yeah, I was like, can you just call Kendra for us, bud?
Kendra's probably like,
Post-game show is brought to you by
this dude.
Christ, I can't find it. The hell with it.
I mean PCP.
Any day now.
Do they still do PCP?
Just Angel Dust?
Yes. Heron.
Like Angel Reese?
You tried her new value meal?
No, but they did.
I heard it's full of bricks.
See, you're mean. I would never make a joke like that.
I can't stand her.
I'm not a huge fan of the game, personally.
I don't like her at all.
You don't like her as a person?
No,
I don't know her.
because I don't know her.
So you know me, I don't disperse judgment on people.
I just don't like the fake hate. Knock it off.
I think there's a lot of fake hate towards her as well,
Oh yeah, for sure.
which I think that almost weirdly kind of makes me want to like protect her a little bit because I don't know if she's done anything.
You don't know how much of it she brings on herself.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do.
Okay, fair.
We have our guest here.
Oh, thank you, Shane.
She might be the
we're not
nicest person I've ever talked to in my entire life.
Oh, is she was? Oh, that's nice.
She's like, oh, it's okay that you weren't paying attention to the clock and didn't call me on time, Shane. It's all good. Let's get to our friend Kendra Waite here, former Creighton great and current Omaha Supernova. Kendra, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, I hear it, Kendra. We've listened to your interviews for 4.5 years, but apparently, according to our producer, you sound like the nicest person we've ever brought on air. So how about that?
Oh,
You didn't even have to.
That's so
You didn't.
kind.
You didn't even have to try. You're just like, hey, that's just me being me.
So, Kendra, I know that obviously you guys are having a nice run with the Supernovas now, got things on the right path, but I do want to go back a little bit to your Creighton days. Like, how much did obviously you got drafted by Omaha? Like, was there a certain level of excitement that you're like, oh man, we've had these great fans at Creighton, and now I can just stick here right at home?
I don't have to move.
Oh yeah, 100%. I couldn't believe, like, when I got drafted, I was like, I get to stay in front of the best fans in the nation. Like, it's incredible the support that volleyball has in this state, and so continuing to play in front of them, it was amazing.
Kendra, it's so, the natural thing would, I'm close. I get to stay close, but listen, with that staff and Coach Booth and with Adam and Angie, like there's this family thing, and you go to this professional deal, and you're still in the same city. Is there a natural compare and contrast, or was it kind of this easy transition where you could maybe not cut ties, but learn and enjoy a new coaching style?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a change, and it was, I would say, pretty smooth transition into the new coaching staff with Bird and Thomas and Steven with the Supernovas, and like learning their style. But then still, like, I'll get a text from Booth checking in, or like I just saw Angie the other day around town. So, it's still kind of cool to be able to keep those connections. But it's in a new way, and just kind of getting to talk about life, not so much of like true volleyball. But, Booth and Angie, they're special, and Brian and Adam also, like, they're just a special group. So I know I'll continue to talk with them in the future for sure.
Kendra, so we saw last year, obviously you weren't with the Supernovas, but we saw them kind of navigate some early struggles to obviously go on and win the championship. Earlier this year, had a stretch of 3 out of 5 matches that didn't go your way. What have you seen from Coach Bird in her ability to just sort of weather some of these hardships and get the team back on track?
Yeah, I think kind of after that stretch of those losses, we really had to come in and look at our identity and who we are. And Bird did a really nice job of refocusing us, getting us kind of back on that mindset of our goals, where we want to finish, and then just allowing us to go out there and practice and fine-tune some things and kind of get back on track to where we need to be. And it's been going pretty well since then, so we're excited to see kind of where the season continues to lead and continuing to build on our successes that we've had of here recently.
Kendra, let me ask you something, because you kind of get this in conference play with familiarity, and you get an understanding of style when you have to do scouting, kind of how you want to attack opponents. But at the pro level, where the schedule will be almost as repetitive, if not more, how much of it boils down to, scout, we want to know strengths and weaknesses versus, listen, the in system versus out of system. We better be pretty good at what we do as kind of the countermeasure. Like, where do you get your level of execution versus the familiarity of the opponent?
Yeah, I think we lean a lot into our side of the court because, again, at the professional level, every team has a lot of great players. So you honestly don't know who's going to be out on the court for any given match. Teams can make a switch early on. You never know what's going to happen. So we talk a lot about how our resiliency and how we're going to fight back if we would decide, like if we would get punched in a match, how are we going to respond? And so I think that's what we do. And so, yes, scout does play a part. And obviously we'll go in there and try to know player tendencies of teams' big hitters or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think at this level, it really does come down to your execution on your side of the net, how well you guys can play as a team.
Kendra, you talked earlier about having the best fans in the country here in Nebraska, but even you have to be a little surprised. I mean, 50,000 fans through the first 4 home matches, like that's on an unprecedented level of just fan interest and support for professional volleyball. I mean, how cool has it been to be a part of that?
Oh, it's incredible. Like every time you step out of the tunnel and you're going through player lineups or just hearing the crowd and all the cheers, like it's so special and something that not a lot of people get to experience in the world of volleyball. So it's just incredible what Nova's Nation has done for us and continues to support every single match. Again, they're truly one of a kind.
Kendra, you got to help me here, and maybe being in Omaha helps. But how's the transition been from kind of your practice schedule, managing your rests with the travel schedule and days off? Does it build camaraderie? Does it build chemistry? Is it something you guys kind of have to work at with additional, and I drop this in air quotes, kind of downtime as you try to grow the chemistry as a team?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this level, it is a lot of managing body with practices. And again, traveling is a lot. But also the fun part of traveling is that's where you kind of get to build a lot of that chemistry off the court. We've already had so many memories built of plane rides and random things that have happened. And so I think that's special. And then, we try to get together and still hang out off the court and have some fun moments just to continue, like you said, to build that team chemistry, because you can do all the work you can on the court, but if you don't trust each other, it's going to be really hard to perform at a high level. So building those relationships and getting to know each other has been really fun.
That's Kendra Waite. I know you're from Kansas, but I'm going to call you Omaha's own Kendra Waite. We're going to have adopted you at this point. We appreciate the time. Good luck on Thursday as you're back here in Omaha at CHI. We look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks, Kendra.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back.
Oh, you didn't.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Make sure you check out. I saw some of the specials on our little break ads. Might need. I haven't eaten here in a minute. Like in the fall, I eat here all the time.
I wish I could say that.
I'm here for football and stuff, and just watching games. You don't like watching games out though either. So like sometimes I'll go places to watch games, and especially if there's like people in town that want to. I'm weird about having people in my house.
I know. You told me that.
Yeah.
No, I get it.
You could come to my house.
I get it.
Like I'd let you come to my house, but I'm pretty protective about who comes to my house.
Well, how many people do you think I'm calling to go grab my phone?
Not a lot.
Right.
I imagine I was pretty close to the top of that list.
Yeah,
Oh, you didn't know?
Yeah, like I'm very protective about who comes into my house because it's like it's my space, right? And also I'm a weirdo, so but
don't I know it?
So Denny,
that's one of my favorite entrants Shane, for a group that I hated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was it
is a good entrance.
It is fantastic.
I can respect a lot of the things. I just don't know. I didn't grow up watching wrestling, so I don't know a lot of the stuff.
Yeah, Zoe wants to go to Monday Night Raw in May.
Really? Is she super into it?
Oh my gosh. And I looked at the tickets and I'm like, hey, Bill, Chris, let's try to do a promotional partnership with WWE and Monday Night Raw.
I bet we could get some people on the show.
I'm dead serious.
Yeah. If they did a thing, I'd go.
And
I'd
asked
go with
Caleb. I was like, hey,
yeah,
do you want to take your? No, I'm out. So I know, I know Brett would do it.
Yeah,
he and Leah would take her, but I feel bad. Shouldn't a dad want to do that with his daughter?
You don't like being out,
I should be able to take one for the team. I'm like, I went through that with Micah.
Here's my question, though. At that event specifically, because there's probably certain places you can go that you're less recognizable.
Yeah, but I'm a square, though. I don't want her, seeing scantily clad women, throwing each other around and stuff. I'm just an old... I'm a fuddy-duddy.
I mean, she's going to see that if she goes on person or watch it on TV, right?
Yeah, I'm the same. But I do have her settings set on her YouTube.
On her little...
But a lot of WWE doesn't make the filter, so every 12 minutes, it's can you type? And I'm like, I want to turn this lock thing off. But little girl will be watching Falcon Crest before I know it, so I ain't definitely turning that thing off. Yeah, she reads the books, and then she'll Google the wrestlers. And
yeah,
yeah.
It's cool that she's interested, got some interests.
Yeah, signed her up for softball. So we'll see how that goes.
She's what, 6?
Yeah, teaching her to put her glove on yesterday.
All right, there you go. So what is it? Is 6 coach pitch or T-ball?
It's a clinic to start.
Okay.
I wanted her to hoop. Darcy has her husband coaches. Shane, relax. Yes, that Darcy.
No, you're exactly right.
But hey, by the way, her kids go to Zoe's school, so I can see her almost every day. Are you jealous? A little bit. That's fine.
He got real.
Rod's like, you know, that's my wife, Shane, right?
He got real quiet. I don't know that Rod's particularly threatened.
No.
Oh, wow.
How are you just gonna bus roll my man like that?
They've been married for a long time. They
Oh,
got
is that what
family
you
together. Yeah, that's all. That's all.
I am bad and they know
I
I'm
want her to
bad.
play basketball with her girls, but Zoe's afraid to fail.
Really?
Yeah.
You got to break her of that.
I know.
Hard and in a hurry.
I know. Go out there, get your face.
That'll haunt you. You got to get rid of that in a hurry.
Who you telling?
Embrace the failure. We need to learn how to deal with failure.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm speaking from personal experience. You got to get her out of that.
So it's
took me 30 years. It's too long.
I'm just baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie though. With flag football on the horizon, I think I would rather, if she wants to do anything competitive, I would rather have her do that than wrestle.
Sure.
Yeah. She likes wrestling.
Does she?
Yeah. At least that's something I could help her with too.
Sure. You have a better
framework for it. Softball would be in the same
right in your wheelhouse.
Too, but
yeah.
I don't know if I want to.
She'll have to get Micah to help her with basketball, though.
To sit at 80 games in the summer, though.
Yeah. No, I mean, being a baseball, softball parent's hard.
Oh,
it's rough. I retroactively apologize to my parents. It's man, I really wish I was better for making you sit through that.
Yeah. WWE Monday Night Raw, huh?
So our guy Denny asked the question on Twitter. He goes, spring game, 2 questions. Spring game media versus alumni flag football game. Good idea or great idea? That's question number 1. 2, how long before an alumni who works for media, DB, how long do they have to be in media before they play for media instead of alumni?
Hopefully I'm working.
Well, they're not going to have a game. What are you going to call?
Yeah, I know. And I just get the sense.
Yeah.
There's this thing about Coach Rule where he wants to make people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Just to see how you can function. So I don't think he would let media off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
No, of course you can't make them play.
Sure.
But I think he would have fun with it.
Sure.
Oh, hey, you got a lot of
opinions.
A lot of hot takes, a lot of opinions. What do you mean? It's not that easy. It's just flag. I could see him being like that, putting on subliminal, and he'll call you out, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's he'll call you out. I would probably I would prefer to play with alumni.
That's what I figured.
I just don't know if any. I mean, I'm not no shot at the media because I may suck, but I don't look at the media and think, ooh,
Particularly athletic
you'd
group.
be fun. And I'm not fun. Like I'm not fun. Like I want to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm not doing. Like I want to win.
Okay, so if we take X players out of it, who's the number one pick in the media for a flag football game? It's probably Suits, right?
I'm probably missing some young guys.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like, are we counting online?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's media.
I mean, Suits would be, and he's fit.
He's still fit, yeah. But he played, right? He played in
Yeah.
high school. It was pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
So Suits has got to be up there.
I mean, maybe Vershawn.
Well, he's a player, though.
Oh, but he does media.
But, I mean, no X players, if you're taking X players out of it. Because if you put X players in it, it's easy, right? Like
I probably would take Suits.
Yeah.
And then I would want to play wide out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just throw me the ball.
We'll have to.
I'll go get it.
We need to get we need to get the Lakers staff in here to do a physical on Andy Kendi to see where the back's at, to see where he's at, because he was an athlete.
I don't know if you could get enough.
Enough guys?
I'm sure you could.
I'll play. Don't worry.
I'm telling you, they're going to make this a thing.
We'll be back with Mike J. Schaefer. Where would he get picked on Hurrdat Sports?
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live, covering Nebraska football and recruiting for 24/7 Sports. Here is Mike J. Schaefer.
Yeah, that's a grown-ass man right there.
Mike Schaefer.
I don't know. There could be bacon involved.
Mike Schaefer.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank Brian Edwards for me.
Here is Mike Schaefer.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. We're joined now by our dear friend and colleague, Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. What's up, Schaefer?
Not a ton. How we doing here on Tuesday morning?
We're hanging in there, man. We were doing fictitious drafts of media for flag football. So so now that it's been kind of floated, and Dannon has kind of said it, and Rule would love to make fun of people in the media doing athletic things. Would you be in or out?
I mean, I feel like if I get the phone call asking to participate, how am I going to say no? Right?
Yeah.
Like
that's.
I mean,
I like that attitude.
Look, I know what I look like. I know my athletic skills at 37 years old at this point. But yeah, if I get the phone call, I'm not gonna say no. Like, I get how it goes.
You know what, Schaefer? People give you a hard time for being pretty straightforward. I actually love it, but you get it too, though, right? Like, just have fun. It's fine. Just
that would be the idea. I mean, the other problem is I'm competitive, so then I would make it less fun by just being my usual whiny self while the competition's going on.
If you're competitive, we'll be just fine.
See, I like
we can ride.
I like the competitiveness, but when you're competitive, and I'm the same way, Schaefer, then another thing comes into play here. It's just have fun and don't get hurt.
Yeah. That's where my competitiveness stems from. Like if you have my time and my efforts,
yeah,
and I could get, I'm 50, right? Oh, I'm trying to win now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going out here to – that's why I never understood, like, those guys, Schaefer, and I'm the crybaby that I was mad. Weird, I was mad. I was mad about the Pro Bowl guys in that skills competition with, like, Justin Jefferson and those guys, like, being too cool to just finish the drill. I'm like, you don't get to do anything. I looked at it as it's something fun. You're probably not going to get hurt. Like, don't you want to try to win? And they were just too cool for school. I'm like, oh, my gosh. But then I looked at it like maybe you always have to be on. So you finally get a chance to just do something. But I don't know, man. I don't care if you give me mascot hands or whatever. I had to catch a ball. Like, I'm trying to catch that thing. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I do know what you mean. Yeah, they're very much a vibe of that. It's just like, hey, we're paid to be here. Like we're not going to go too far beyond on this thing because you don't want to get labeled as a try-hard, right?
I'm definitely a try-hard.
So, Schaefer, here's my $1 million question. All right, I asked DB this, and we had some debate about it. If we're taking X players off the table, who's the number 1 overall draft pick for the media?
Okay.
So, like, you can't take DB.
Right. No, I understand that stipulation there.
Did you want to say no bleep? Because you can if you want.
Well,
no, that's okay. I don't swear when I'm on air, generally.
I felt like I had to clarify because I gave that prompt to DB, and he said Vershawn Jackson. And I go, well, bud, that doesn't really.
Hey, do you like his delivery retelling the story so he could, like, low-key hammer me?
A little bit. He didn't spend a lot of time setting it up, though. No. He just got right into the part where you were completely wrong and looked wrong and missed the instruction. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of hemming and hawing there.
We only have so much time with this, Schaefer. I wanted to get to the point.
So there's like a part of me that it feels like the obvious one would be Robin Washut, just based on the fact that he works out, looks like he's still athletic. Like you go that route initially, but then I'm trying to think, like, I always in my mind think I'm still one of the young guys in the Nebraska media, which is no longer true and hasn't. Which means our actual young people in the Nebraska media who are closer to being near their, if they had any athleticism, peak athleticism. And now I'm trying to think of like who that would be exactly. But I've never seen Will.
Is Jake a good athlete, Sorensen?
Oh yeah, yeah.
But he's getting our age too, isn't he?
If it's golf, if it's tennis, I know that he can do that. But I once threw out there Sorensen versus Sipple in a free throw contest, and I legitimately have no idea which one of them would win.
Oh.
And that feels like that is a very damning thing to say out loud about any individual.
So Sorensen is more of an individual sport athlete.
Well, it's because that's the only context I've seen it. Like I've seen him swing a bat, and he can play softball.
Okay.
What about Happer?
Happer's a good athlete.
Yeah. He's a little undersized.
He did Dave's ringing endorsement.
He's a little undersized, but he's,
doesn't strike me as overly twitchy either. Like, how long are we waiting for him to get open?
Yeah, I mean, he's not juking somebody out of their shoes.
Hooks.
I didn't know you were going to butt hook.
But with Happer, like, he's got a decent arm. So then is he playing quarterback for you? Is he dissecting and throwing at that point?
I'm going to be honest. Happer strikes me
as
has
irrational confidence, so I would imagine he'd want to be the gunslinger.
He does not lack for irrational confidence. If you were doing an irrational confidence draft, he would be close to the number one pick.
Happer does strike me as like a Favre type quarterback, though. Like he's like, oh, I got triple covered. No worries, I got him.
You know what though? I bet he is down and dirty competitive.
Oh yeah, I think so.
No doubt about it. There's no such thing as windows because the whole world
is he doesn't come across as though he takes himself that seriously. That's what I like. But I bet you playing, he's a menace.
I would agree with this. I've watched him be overly competitive about things like drinking as many cups of water as you can during a radio segment.
Or chicken nuggets, or what's a pizza, what's not. He's very principled, very principled.
Yeah, my guy almost choked to death on air trying to eat 6 chicken nuggets in a minute.
I still don't know how you can't do that.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be that difficult.
He got to like 3 and was like,
"Are you sure it was only 6?"
Yeah, he was like, "Help me."
God, I could eat 6 chicken nuggets.
Yeah,
I could put.
You can't take that guy number 1 overall. You got to be able to get to 4 chicken nuggets if you're going number 1.
What about Suits?
Kevin Suits?
Yeah.
That was another one that I thought of. But then he's going to be rolling in with a lot of dad strength. But again, like, I don't know when the last time that Kevin Suits would have run a route would be. Like, I'm trying to
jog with that camera. I'm sure he's pretty all right.
Yeah, well, fair.
True, those two people, they're lugging around some equipment. It's a whole thing.
Oh, here's I want to put here.
You've got Nick Hanley out there who's in like somehow the best shape in his life. That's a guy that I've known since 2010, and he somehow is in better shape now than he was at that point in time.
He does look. So should I be careful confusing thin with fit?
Yeah,
probably.
Be careful there.
He does, but he does look fantastic.
He does. He looks good.
Yeah. And he, I believe, played high school quarterback. So
he did. That's a Millard West product.
I would consider Nick Hanley on the short list of early picks.
We're missing a pretty big one. Kurt brought it up in the chat. So I'm not going to give myself credit. He was a former player, but not football. Nicholas Allen Baugh.
I don't know if he can still move though.
Okay, I'm saying because he was a good quarterback back in the day.
Oh, he's got some old ankles.
I completely neglected that one entirely.
I would take Baugh just because while I'm being competitive, I want to laugh.
I'd have a good time. Like Baugh would be a good time. Good locker room guy.
A couple of my, so I got a couple of buddies. My funny out of environment Baugh stories. There's a gym here locally that a lot of guys used to go to, and they would play competitive pickup. And a couple of my buddies wanted to play pickup against him, like 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. And they were giving me a hard time because Nick did not want to play them without his ankle braces. And they were at this said gym. So they thought that was, oh, man, he's dodging us like who needs ankle braces, blah, blah, blah. But that kind of gives me an inkling into his level of competitiveness. Right? Like
he's got to be – you got to feel like you're safe and secure, right, to be able to go full bore?
I'm gonna be honest. There's a 0% chance I'm playing any pickup ball without ankle braces on. Like I've got.
Really?
Oh yeah, I've had like my ankles diced up. Like I've had surgery on them. I'm not doing anything without the braces. So
sneaky late round pick for you here. You don't want to sleep on Brian Christopherson. He's like a 14-sport athlete at Omaha North.
I was going to ask you who would be the kid that would get picked last. Is it Brunts or BC from 24/7 Sports? But I didn't want to put you on the
I feel honored that it wasn't me in that regard. I think it's Brunts. I think Brunts would be okay if that I acknowledge that it's Brunts, but you can ask him later in the week, and he can.
Brunts might be offended, and he's so snarky. He'd clap back with something ridiculous.
So Brunts kind of looks like he has an athletic-ish frame, though. Like he's
thin.
Well, he's tall and he's lean. Like he sort of looks like he could. I don't know. For as long as I've known him, I don't think I've ever seen him play a sport. So I really don't know.
Well,
he's a very good golfer. That I can tell you that.
I think I knew that.
Really?
I think I knew that. But yeah, I don't think I've
good golfer.
Seen him play a sport. So I don't have a good. But I just look at him and I go, I could see some athleticism there, maybe.
All right, I'm going to get to Nebraska football.
Again, he's got the double dad. He's got the dad strength. Rumors are he's rolling around Lincoln wearing a weighted vest when he goes for his walks. Like, I mean, so
he's getting in shape for it. He's getting ready.
Yeah. I feel like what I can offer here is just scouting reports on various media members that are all going to get mad at me for saying things.
Say I would love it if we had like a media member combine before the draft.
Oh, good.
So we could answer some of these questions.
I cannot imagine how many hamstrings would just be shredded by that thing.
I've got one question. Who swings the best stick? And I mean bat, not clubs, in the Schaefer household between you, Shelby, and Hudson?
Well, I don't think Hudson's ever swung a bat, so he is out. I think it's me. I don't even know that Shelby would argue that a whole lot. I don't think that like baseball, softball was really her forte.
She could swing it though.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think she would argue it that much.
Safe here for no.
I know that she would be an extra hitter. You're not really wanting to put her in the field somewhere.
All right, Mike J. So to land the plane with that weekend, how does recruiting work? Do you think or envision if it's going to be an OV weekend around the events that are going to happen in April?
Well, I don't know yet that it will be because they've set up a lot of visits for people in June. I'm not entirely sure what it looks like in terms of visits for whatever is going to happen on April 26th, because that was obviously a big part of the spring game appeal was that you could bring in a lot of recruits. Last year, they used it as an official visit weekend, and they didn't land anybody specifically because of that weekend. You ended up with Cortez Mills and Dawson Merritt, who committed that came in that weekend, but really the Colorado game was as big, if not bigger, for those two guys as they ended up committing to other schools in Nebraska. So I don't know how much official visits will ultimately matter for whatever happens at the end of April, but you were able to bring in, over 100 recruits most of the time for the spring game. A lot of it was getting guys in that were sophomores from other areas. Like I'm pretty sure, take Titan Davis, for example. I'm pretty sure he came in for the 2023 spring game, and that was his introduction to the new Nebraska staff. He had been recruited by the previous one. But then he's able to kind of like build that relationship sort of going forward. That was an introductory point with Matt Rule and those guys. And then now you could make the case that Titan Davis is the single biggest recruit that Nebraska is going after in this class now that it appears that they're out for Jackson Cantwell. So it has a lot of value in terms of younger recruits, area guys. It is a great opportunity to get recruits from Colorado, South Dakota, Kansas, Iowa, Missouri to come in for a Saturday. And then you would see the staff kind of prioritize because they can't spend time with everybody. So I don't know how you're going to be able to replace that aspect of it. The official visit thing will be interesting because as it is right now, anyone that I've talked to or seen on our site that's talked about a Nebraska official visit, it's all been in the month of June. So I haven't seen a whole lot that has come out in terms of April for visits. But I know there's a lot of people that are expecting to take visits for spring practices, which Nebraska did a tremendous job of last year. I think the best that I've ever covered in terms of getting really high quality players to come in for a practice. And I think that we know enough of Matt Rule now 3 years into this thing, he wants recruits to see them practice. It is a point of emphasis when he's recruiting that he wants these guys to have that visual of what his coaches are like at practice, what practice is like, what the expectations are like, how it is run. I think that's a really important thing to him. And I think that's why they try to get a lot of the key guys in for a practice before they even come in for an official visit or a game weekend.
Mike J, it's interesting is I know you had the write-up on EJ, Coach Barthel, and his presence. I think he was actually working the clinic at the Glacier Clinic in St. Louis, and just the importance of St. Louis. And this is on the heels of him getting his new deal done. And I asked this question to Ravi. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek just because I was being petty that I don't think people appreciate kind of what he does from developing his guys to recruiting across the board. But are you surprised that there seems to be such a disconnect in terms of how Nebraska values him versus what the fans kind of perceive in terms of the job that he's done with the running backs room as it relates to their play?
I'm not super surprised because I would say that I'm at least a portion of that disconnect, because just if I stack up how recruiting has gone for EJ Barthel versus, say, Rob Dvorak or, different people that came in at the same time, it's harder to slot in specific names with EJ Barthel. Now, at the same time, I had a really good conversation with a high school coach in St. Louis that was at that clinic that knows EJ really well, and he talks about just what he's like when he comes into St. Louis and the value that he's created for Nebraska and that community and the way that he reflects Matt Rule when he's there. Like he basically went as far as to say EJ Barthel is like a mini Matt Rule. When guys get to sit down and talk to EJ Barthel, it's like Matt Rule is being represented even if he's not in the same room. And he thought that was a really valuable aspect that EJ brings to the recruitment. And so the more I have dug in and talked to people, there's definitely more value than what has been brought in terms of total commitments. I think the other thing that's relatively hard is that at the running back position, Emmett Johnson has come from third string or further the last 2 years. So then it's a question of, are they not evaluating well enough to determine their best running back? Like how often do we, and it's not just an EJ Barthel thing. I think he's also paying for he's paying for the sins of previous staffs. I mean, people are and I led the charge of this. You've done enough radio interviews with me in the last decade. I have been very critical of running back play because it hasn't been good enough. And so I think some of it is people want to see the running backs make a real jump. And so you kind of hold EJ Barthel against that. It's difficult because he's in a position where he has one player that's on the field. Like when I talk about Rob Dvorak and I wax poetic about what he's done, he has multiple bites at the apple, if you will, whereas EJ Barthel is largely condensed to just one player. So how you felt about Dante Dowdell or Emmett Johnson, when they were in, would be reflective of how people felt about EJ Barthel. Now, the running back play hasn't been out of this world. It's been fine. And so I think that's sort of reflected in how people talk about him. The recruiting hasn't been amazing, and the on-field play hasn't been amazing, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a ton of value internally. I think it tells you a lot that they kept him. I think it tells you a lot that Texas and other schools were interested. And I have to square all of that up, because if you would have asked me in November, I wouldn't have ranked him particularly high. If you're like, hey, give me the value scale before the staff change, give me the value scale of how you perceive all these guys and how maybe they're perceived internally. But part of that is you have to talk and you have to look and you have to listen. I mean, these are all things that are part of it. But the production hasn't necessarily been there from the running backs or from the recruiting to just make people go head over heels. It doesn't mean that he's not working, though. It doesn't mean that he isn't doing good stuff behind the scenes. It's just the forward-facing, front-facing stuff that fans are going to see. I mean, it's just kind of what it is. The results are fine.
Let me ask you something, Schaefer, and I want to get to hoops here. And I guess with a new clock, we can do what we want if you have another 28 minutes. Kidding, but not really.
I have you tell me when I'm out.
Okay, so let me ask. Why do you think? Because I would make the case, like if you, and I know, and hopefully we get that sit down or whenever you come up where we can spend some time together. But could I make the case to you if I said, you know what, Schaefer, I don't get it. I look at how Dowdell was 2 years ago versus how he left his program. I look at Emmett when he first got here to what I've seen. I saw the relationship built to get Ramir to hang in there. I think Mekhi Nelson is significantly better physically than people have yet to really see. I think Quentin Ives has come a long way. What could I just make the case that guys get better the longer they're around them and have that be a conversation starter?
Yeah, I think you can make that case. I think the hard thing is that you have to weigh that case of you being in the building, in different areas of the building, watching different things and what the average fan sees. Anyone that's watched Nebraska football over the last 2 years.
But everybody could see Dowdell last spring to Dowdell this year.
Sure. And he made a big jump. There's no question about that. But it's just like the way we talk about Nebraska going from 5-7 to, 7-6. It's progress. It's better, but it's not where people think this program should be. I mean, part of playing the running back position at Nebraska is that you're weighed against Amon Green, you're weighed against Rex Burkhead, you're weighed against Amir Abdullah, you're weighed against Lawrence Phillips, you're weighed against one-season wonders like Brandon Jackson, you're weighed against great, great, great players around here. And Nebraska's running backs have been solid. I stopped short of even saying they've been good. Like, I don't think they've had Divine Ozigbo had a good season. Nebraska hasn't had a great season since Amir Abdullah. They've had one good season from an individual running back. They were effective at times last year, but they couldn't take over the game. They couldn't carry things for Dylan Raiola. Now, what does it look like with Dana Holgorsen calling the running game? Because it looked a lot better in the final 4 games of the season than it did earlier. I love what they were doing by getting those linemen, the interior guys, getting them out pulling. The game plan against Wisconsin and how they ran the ball against Wisconsin, if that's a preview of what it's going to look like in 2025, I think Emmett Johnson's going to be a really, really good player. But until that all happens, it's a lot of conjecture. I mean, we've heard so much about Quentin Ives. What have we seen? We saw a 2-yard touchdown run. That's all we know about Quentin Ives. All I can tell you is that Nebraska beat out Monmouth for him, and nobody else was recruiting him at the FBS level. So there's a lot of wait and see at the running back, and people have been waiting and waiting and waiting. We haven't seen that much yet, but that's the thing with that position. And the hard part is E.J. Barthel and these running backs are weighed against a history where you can make the case that outside of maybe defensive back or certainly offensive line, like running back has been one of the most premier positions in Nebraska football history. And so for them to be in this cycle where it's just very average to below average year in and year out, and people that remember what it was like when the third string guy, who's currently talking to me on the radio right now, could come in and run for 100 yards and win the Orange Bowl MVP, those days are so far removed from where we're at. And I know it takes way more than just a running back for that, but that's what it's up against. It's a really we talk about it from the program perspective. Think about it from individual positions. Like, people have high expectations for running backs, and they haven't been anywhere near them here.
Schaefer, let's switch gears to basketball real quick. Obviously, coming off a disappointing loss and just general ugly performance last night, where's your, I guess, I keep asking this every week, like, where's your level of confidence? 3 games left. Do they have to win all 3 in your mind? Can they get in being 2 out of 3? Like, where are you at?
I think if they win 2, they're at least in Dayton. So I continue to feel better about it than some do. It certainly would have helped Nebraska's case last night had they won that game. I think they would be in a really, really strong spot had you finished that game against Michigan. And I cannot envision a lot of times in my life where you play a ranked team, you hold them to 49 points and you lose. Like, that was one of the worst offensive performances that building has ever seen. And I think I once watched Cincinnati, Nebraska go into double overtime where they both scratched into the 50s. So, I mean, it's seen some things, but that was really rough last night.
That's a high bar for bad offensive performances.
It really is. And the thing I kept coming back to is, man, it would have been tough to be a teammate of Bryce Williams and go into that locker room last night and asking yourself, did I do enough to help our team win? Because the answer for everybody, other than maybe Sam Hoiberg, is no. Because it was, everyone took their turn on missing a point blank shot or missing a wide open look. And Nebraska had great looks to finish that game. Even Bryce, had that look off the inbounds play, wide open on the baseline to give you the lead. And he just couldn't cash it. And so, and then I tweeted this, watching it in the moment. I was stunned by it. 10 out of 10 times, I want Bryce Williams taking that ball to the hole, trying to get a foul, trying to finish at the rim. He's the guy I want finishing the game. And I understand Connor Season's wide open. I understand it should be a high percentage 3, but it's still a 3. I'd still rather have Bryce Williams going to the hoop.
Let me ask you something, Schaefer. When you're looking at, because Ravi said something off air, and I gave him a little pushback just because I'm like, well, this is the same team that we were talking about during the 4-game win streak, and it's also the same team that we were talking about the 6-game losing streak. And he said, maybe Nebraska just isn't very good. How are they still in the position where we have these kind of opinions? Because he's certainly not alone on a take, but where we stay right in the moment versus looking at a body of work or the totality of a season.
Yeah, I think it's tough because when you're kind of a average to above average to sometimes below average team, you look really mediocre. And one of the worst things you can be in sports is mediocre. People can accept if you're really bad because it's easy to tune it out. People can accept if you're good or really good because it's easy to get behind. When you fall in that middle, you can look like everything, right? Like you can look like one of the worst teams in basketball, and some nights you can look like one of the best. And that's what I think they are. I think they're an average to above average team playing in a tough conference where there are no gimmies. And they took, again, Michigan scored however many they did against Michigan State. They had that team to 49 points. Michigan looked horrible, and yet Nebraska didn't finish the game. They looked worse. So it's really tough. Like I don't think they're world beaters by any means, but I do think that the lens of which they are being viewed is somewhat challenging because they're an average team and they have an opportunity in front of them to do something that Nebraska basketball doesn't do a lot, and that's get to the NCAA tournament. And so people are going to think that they're bad if they can't finish this out instead of just acknowledging their average in a good conference.
Schaefer, appreciate the time as always and a little extra time here today. Maybe get out there, get some stretching going just in case we got to play this flag football game. Let's make sure those joints are loosened up a little bit, all right?
For like 30 plus years, stretching I was just naturally flexible. I know that's hard to believe because I look like the Kool-Aid man, like from a physical standpoint, but just naturally flexible. The last couple of years, there's been some times on the golf course where you take a swing and suddenly your back is just it's not right. So I've actually had to learn that stretching is a valuable thing now in my
Imagine at my age sneezing in the shower and it actually hurting me. So.
Hey, that happened to Sammy Sosa. So if it can happen to an elite athlete like that.
Wow. Sammy had some other things going on.
We don't know what DB does in his spare time.
Not bleach.
Schaefer, we appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
See ya.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla on the Pillar Exterior stage. And it's time for Bet On It, where we try and make you a little bit of money. Well, DB does mostly. I don't make good picks. I wouldn't take my advice. I'm just going to put that out there. A little disclaimer.
Yeah.
What?
I just
don't like.
Sometimes you just have to laugh at people's ignorance.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain point where you just have to be like, oh, this person's just being obtuse for the sake of it, and that's kind of what's.
Now I just question overall. Like, I don't know. It's weird, but anyway, I don't know how much money we can make, but it is a significantly better slate
today
than last night.
Yeah,
there's a couple tricky ones too.
We had a few days of not great games over the weekend.
Okay, I'm just gonna address this.
Okay,
he's not very smart. So we were talking about Coach Barthel's coaching prowess. I shouldn't let one guy dictate show topics, but ignorance is ignorance. And in Game Dog, you have the what you should do. Except you're your biggest fan. Just call 888-638-4876, and we can actually have a conversation. So, because I don't want to talk about moving the goalposts, but I was talking about Coach Barthel's coaching prowess, right? And whether you like overall end, because let me just set the whole context quickly. We don't love the end result of the running backs, right?
Yeah.
Schaefer talked about them being compared to.
We want to see a 1,000-yard back. We want to see a bell cow. We
just
want to
taking
see
over games,
Yeah.
right? And we heard Coach Holgerson come in and say, gosh, especially after SC or the game before that,
They
it's like,
gotta-
guys get into the open field.
They got to make one of those guys miss. They got to break
Those
a tackle.
guys are making tackles.
Yeah.
Our guys aren't. We have to make them miss. So I asked about the disconnect on what fans typically think about Coach Barthel versus to what Nebraska thinks about Coach Barthel. And I said to Schaefer, you guys get better on his watch, right? Spring EJ was not very good, right? Had the 43-yard run, and it was like he was playing against me and you. Outrunning guys, didn't look very fast. And then you saw him for periods of time last year, and you're like, oh, God, he's gotten significantly better, which is what Schaefer and I were talking about. And then we get to these conversations about Dowdell's prowess, and that wasn't the conversation. The conversation was, does a guy, because really,
did he improve? Has he improved?
Because I think when we talk about coaching staffs and stuff like that, at some point it has to be a certain amount of wins, obviously.
Sure.
But you don't want guys getting worse either on your watch.
Yeah.
Right? You want them to progressively get better. And I said, was there another coach where you felt like every guy in that room got better? And this was a segment for a couple of days in a row.
I brought up Knighton.
And I said, you know what? Knighton is a guy outside of Cam Linhart.
Yep.
I would and Nash, but Nash was hurt.
I'll say Nash was banged up. But he got better the first year under Knighton.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think I'm going to give him that one.
100%.
I don't know what to do with Cam. I really don't.
You could maybe make the case at tight end.
Sure. Yeah.
And the only other position group that's in the discussion is running backs.
Yeah. Because I think,
because you could make the case Ben Scott kind of regressed.
So I was going to bring up O-line because I think overall I really like the progression of the offensive line. I think they've done a really good job as a unit, but I think individually Ben Scott was better as a junior than he was as a senior, or senior versus super senior, however you want to qualify him. He was better his first year at Nebraska than he was his second. I think Justin Evans, if he didn't get worse, I don't know how much better he got from year 1 to year 2 as a starter. I think that now, again, offensive line can be tricky to evaluate because of how dependent they are on each other, right? So I'm willing to have that conversation too. But there's only a few units on the team that I would even bring up, right? Wide receivers, not in the conversation, right, at all. Over the course of the year, I wouldn't put quarterback in the conversation. And you only have the 1 year sample size, so you can't go year over year with Dylan yet. Although I would say Heinrich's gotten better year over year as a quarterback. I wouldn't say that about defensive backs. Nope. Wouldn't say that about linebackers.
Nope.
Certainly wouldn't say it about any specialists or special teams. So that's what you're left with, right? And now if you want to go to, hey, he needs to bring in better guys to make the room better, like I can hear that conversation. But if you're talking about the guys that have been in the room, they've all gotten better. Like Dowdell, whatever you think of his overall talent and ability, Dowdell got better from spring to fall. Like anybody who doesn't see that isn't worth talking to. Like I don't know a single person who knows what they're talking about that doesn't think Dowdell got better from spring to fall. Now, if you're like, hey, he's still not living up to what I think his talent is, or he still wasn't as good as I wanted him to be.
Or the expectation level of the position, maybe.
Yeah, and
that's what I hear you guys say.
And the expectation.
You want more out of the position.
I do, yeah.
Okay.
And the expectation level of a 4-star transferring from Oregon. That's a lot of what Dowdell's problem was. If he's a 3-star transferring from Ohio, we're like, oh man, Dowdell, pretty good. It's the same thing I do with Christian Jones, and I've called myself out on it. If Christian Jones is a 3-star, not a Butkus winner, and I'm like, oh man, really good frame. I like some of the things I saw from him, but I view him through a different lens because of the accolades, right? Same thing with Dowdell. 4-star, coming from a really good program. I expect more. Is that fair or not? I don't know.
Which is funny too, because you asked me why I didn't like him early on when he first got to campus. Well, you're one of the few guys that's not bringing up Dowdell. And I'm like, I just don't love the running style.
Sure.
And for that, and kind of the changing his frame a little bit and stuff like that, I'll be curious. I don't know if I can use Ives as like a developmental study.
Yeah, we'll see.
But he did look significantly better and this is just practice, to Schaef's point, which I thought was a good one, right? Because I do have some advantages that other people don't, like if I'm seeing guys more.
Sure.
And we're not seeing him in game, so he can't really use Ives.
Yeah, because you don't have a lot to go on.
Outside of the touchdown.
Yeah, you don't have a lot to go on. Same thing with Nelson. We don't really have a lot to go on publicly.
Right.
About what to do with him.
So who's the case study for talent eval? Is it Parker or Nelson or both? Probably both, right?
Probably, both.
Okay.
Because I think enough people got on Parker late that you're like, okay, other people saw it. Now Nebraska
this is a guy that missed a sophomore season too.
And so Nebraska was early on Parker, so I think that counts. But yeah, if Mekhi Nelson turns out to be a guy that is productive and useful in the system, I think that's a really good win for talent eval. I also think Quentin Ives would be too, because as Schaefer mentioned, not a lot of other people in the FBS level were on him. So if Ives becomes a productive back, that's a huge win for talent eval, right? Because nobody else. Same thing with who was from Montana, the receiver, Keelan Smith.
Yeah.
That's a guy. Not a lot of D2 offers. Not a lot of other people are on. If he develops into a dude or a productive player at the Big Ten level, that's a huge talent eval win, right? Because nobody else even was looking at him. So that's like, those are the guys that I look at where I go, hey, that's a win for talent eval. So Mekhi Nelson, Quentin Ives kind of fall more in that category for me than Jamarion, even though Nebraska was earlier on Parker than most.
I think because I think we forgetting. Oh, you want to get to? Yeah, let's get to this call. I feel bad using a nickname, but Game Dog, what's up, buddy?
Damon, man, it's been a long time. It's been since the 1620 days.
So talk to me about.
You know who I am, Damon. You know who I am. Come on, man. It's been since the 1620. Why am I pissing you off so bad when I'm just talking some ball, dude?
It's not really talking ball, and I wouldn't call me upset.
It is talking ball, dude. It is talking ball, Damon.
It's not talking ball when we're having a conversation. You make it about everything that it isn't. How did the conversation boil down to how good Dowdell is or isn't? When the conversation clearly was about if a guy gets guys better.
You said Dowdell had got better. You said he had got better. Now
is that fact or
referencing
fiction?
The running back coach. You said Dowdell got better, and Ravi's talking about, from spring he's got better, bro. Well, you know what, dude? How the hell has anybody seen him from spring except for one spring game practice? To what he did. Okay, great. Well, he played okay early on, but you have a running back coach that can't fucking evaluate talent, okay? He said there has a third-string running back that comes up to the first-string running back, okay, 2 years in a row. Okay, so this guy doesn't know how to evaluate talent. You can say, he's got better. Well, Gabe Irvin's got worse. Dante Dell got worse as the season got along. So you got a real coach that comes in, and Dana says, well, this guy's a scrub, man. This guy's a fucking scrub. I'm going to put him as a backup.
But
okay? You're gone. I'm going to put Emmett Johnson in because he's the best running back. But you got a running back coach that's had him as the third string running back 2 years in a row. And then when we get to November, I'm going to put him in. Did Emmett get better? Yeah, because Dana came and he's the offensive coordinator.
So was your point evaluating talent and not about Dowdell? Was it?
So you're saying? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Was your point about how he evaluates talent?
My point, is evaluating talent and getting them better. Both of those, Damon. I'm just talking some ball, bro. I'm not trying to sit here and fucking argue with you all the time and piss you off. I just want to talk ball, and then you get fucking triggered because
don't put that on me.
Somebody doesn't fucking agree. So somebody doesn't know. When anybody doesn't agree with you, Damon, you do the same shit to Ravi all the time.
Hey, listen, I appreciate
You're
having
stupid and all that.
No, you'd never hear me say that. Number one, let's not put words in my mouth. Number two, I'm not triggered.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out, what's the end game? Are we trying to learn?
The end game is talking ball. Yes, we're trying to learn. I that's why I turn into your show. I like to hear your opinions. I don't always agree. I like your perspective. I like where you came from. I know who you are, Damon. You coached my nephew. You know who I am. We've met, okay? You've coached my nephew back at Scott days, all right? I enjoy the show. But just because I don't agree with you doesn't mean I'm not trying to learn.
I don't want to move the goalposts. I want to stay on schedule
let's stay on schedule.
so we don't get distracted.
Let's stay on schedule.
We're talking about it. Like if you'd have said to me, "Hey, you know what? Why was this guy playing? Like he shouldn't have been playing." You realize that conversation takes on a whole different tone, because that part that's a legitimate, surefire question. Why was this guy playing all along?
EJ
or why wasn't
agree.
EJ
That is,
playing?
okay, I agree. It's a legit
Now, if you say that to me,
I agree with you on that.
I would be like, oh, okay, that's different than making it about slandering Dowdell, because that wasn't the point. You know what I mean? So that's why I say
I'm not slandering Dowdell. I just call it like it is. I piss people off on the chat because I tell it like it is. I'm not here to make friends with y'all. Oh, I just want to make every Husker to play. I'm just going to tell it like it is, dude. I'm not trying to slander. I'm just talking ball. Dante may be a great dude. Maybe a great dude to hang out with.
Listen, I don't want participation trophies, and I'm not talking about liking guys. I'm saying the conversation takes on a different tone if you ask me about, well, why is this guy playing from the beginning? Then I'm in. Like,
okay, then maybe I should have referenced that a little better. But my point is, Damon, you're saying they're all getting better under this running back coach. That's bullshit, dude.
But here's the thing, and I'm not going to throw Gabe under the bus. But players do have, whether it's injuries or Gabe.
Hang
on, champ.
A good short yardage runner. When he was given the fucking chance to run short yardage, he was pretty damn good.
Hang on.
When he was given the chance.
Hang on. Listen, I'm with you. Why? So, how much responsibility does a player have for hanging in there emotionally as part of their development?
100%. Because
that's part of it. With guys that hang in there, and I'm not knocking Gabe. I'm
that's
just
a
saying,
lot of part of it.
If I'm coming back from my third injury and guys are progressing, it would be hard for me to use him as a benchmark on, well, that guy didn't get better. Some of that is emotional, right? Like some of that is
okay.
And some of that is an accumulation of injuries too. Like at a certain point,
it's just hard to hang in there.
You know, like I would have, for what Ramir Johnson's career turned out to be, and he had a nice day in the bowl game and everything, and you feel really good for him. But you have
I have nothing but respect for Ramir, dude. I have 100,000% respect for Ramir.
No, I get that. But also, if you take where we thought Ramir could be his first year in Nebraska versus where he got, we probably go, oh, man, maybe that's a little disappointing. But you have an accumulation of injuries. A lot of things happened to him along the way as well. Like, I think Gabe also sort of falls into that category. That's my point.
Gabe Dog, going for it, I just want to know that we're on the same discussion topic. If that's the case, we could talk ball all day.
Absolutely, Damon. Like I said, maybe I'm coming at it a little different. Maybe you're seeing it a little different from what I'm seeing it. But I'm just trying to talk ball, dude. I'm not trying to piss you off or this or that. And if I do piss you off a little bit, so be it. I'm good, man. It makes for good radio. Gets you fired up, Damon. Gets pissed off. It makes for good radio. I love it.
All right, more
Hurrdat
Sports Live coming up next.
be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Wrapping up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We're actually going to get to some picks now with DB here. Pretty good slate of games we got.
Yeah, some sneaky, some good. This will be a good chance for you to watch games late.
I know.
Watch some late television.
Late games, which I'm going to have to because I'm going and hanging out with those yahoos over at NBNR today.
Oh, that'll be good.
Yeah, we'll have a good time.
So AJ wanted those guys to play O-line and 7-on-7. Does he? Are they? It's just a 3-man.
Yeah, no. So I'm taking KB as one of my wideouts. I've played with him before, and he's a good athlete. He's fit.
Can he snap? Because those guys are always open in flag.
I don't know if he can snap or not, but because we were kind of just doing the hike deal.
Yeah.
But he was getting open, good hands. I was impressed with his.
So he's the ringleader of that group?
I don't know if he's the ringleader, but that's a guy that I know I would take as a receiving option.
Okay.
I haven't seen any of the other ones do anything athletic, so I can't really speak to it. Mike looks like he's pretty built. You know, he's a pretty big guy. I don't know.
Well, Mike D.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Jared looks like he would be super competitive. I feel like he would maybe go over the top a little bit, might kill somebody.
He also strikes me as the type of dude that'd be telling jokes as he's like giving it to you.
Yeah, maybe. Like Larry Bird style.
Yeah, dude, oozes sarcasm. Yeah. Hey, I got a 6'6" guy guarding me. That ain't gonna work.
Jared's gonna be mad when he's got the white guy covering him. It's like, what is this?
What is this? No, I'm picking against my guys tonight.
I think I know who it is.
Who is it?
You are going. I'm gonna bet on your bet. That's what we're doing. It's called the derivative.
We need to do a couple of small little $20 so I can build up another free dinner.
Okay. You're gonna pick the Virginia Tech Hokies plus 10.5 over Louisville.
I am not.
Okay.
That's a good pull.
That's what I thought was.
But that number's right. That's a good pull.
Okay.
I'll give you one more crack at it.
Okay. Let's see who else we got here.
That's a good one.
You're certainly
that is good deductive reasoning.
You're certainly not taking Miami over Duke. Georgia plus 6.5 at home against Florida.
Correct. Mostly 7s. It's like minus 118 right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So I've seen mostly 7s. I like Georgia getting 7 at home from.
You were right.
From Flo Rida.
I do hate that.
I like Georgia quite a bit.
But you are much better at this than I am.
Quite a bit.
But that's one that like really makes me. I don't like it. I hate that.
Listen, it wouldn't surprise me if Georgia won.
Okay.
So this is what I worry about with Florida.
Yeah.
I just need to see them get stretched a little.
You want to see somebody take them in deep waters?
Yeah.
Okay.
They just haven't kind of had it as tough as some other.
You know who we said that about last year?
Yeah, I know.
UConn?
I know.
Did it matter?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just asking. I'm checking.
And Florida has more pros on this team than
UConn did last year.
UConn did last year.
Yeah.
But I like.
You like Georgia tonight?
I like Georgia.
Okay. Any other ones?
Not so much. I took a look at the Salukis.
Okay.
I think they're 7.5.
Southern Illinois on me. I'm a little surprised because you've bet on them before. I'm a little surprised you weren't looking at LSU at all.
Thought about it.
Okay.
But
it's a big numbers, double digits at home.
Little gun shy.
Sure, yeah, because they beat you last time.
And they go through, a game in which they led, they ended up losing by, I think, just the point. I missed that by a point.
Mm-hmm.
The scoring droughts. They don't shoot it well enough.
How do you?
I mean,
it's not like Tennessee really fills it up.
I know,
but they're better defensively.
They're so good defensively. I just worry about like a bucket late or something.
Sure,
but I believe me, it almost fits It almost fits all the criteria. I like LSU. It was in the hunt.
Is Alabama -8.5 too big for you?
No.
Okay.
I think that's right.
Mississippi can't hang with them offensively.
Mississippi
again, State. Sorry.
Here's the thing about them is they got a certified bucket getter.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that's about it.
Okay.
They can go through some lulls,
some stretches.
Now they are playing against a pretty porous defensive team at times, especially off the dribble.
Here's the yes. Oh God, yes. They could
see. It's almost like he's not very fit.
I could see that. I can see that.
I just need him to sit down a little bit.
If
stop letting guys turn the corner.
If it's not a fitness issue, it's certainly an effort issue. Those are kind of the two things that look similar a lot.
Yeah.
I will say, watching teams just go to the rack against Alabama is just horrifying for me. Like I could never
just turning the corner at will.
I could never bet on them for any reason. So that's why I kind of look at them as a team to bet against. But there is one thing that I will say is a lot of times we confuse a bad defensive team and assume that another team will be able to take advantage of that. You have to be functional on offense still.
Yeah.
Like a bad defense doesn't automatically mean you're going to score points because you still have to be functional offensively.
So did you look at Illinois State and Southern Illinois?
No, looking at it right now. Sorry, I was looking at SEC for a minute.
Look at the conference record. They have the exact opposite records.
Okay.
17-12 and 12-17.
Yep.
And right now,
pretty close in conference though, just a couple games apart.
Yep. You got 60-some-odd% of the people on Illinois State, and it's a 1.5.
1.5 on the road in Carbondale.
I like Southern Illinois.
You ever been to Carbondale?
Been through it.
It's not great. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's not great.
Actually, it was kind of more of the skirts. Where did we take? So we veered on the highway instead of staying on 435 west to go to Madison, maybe. Because I know we had just come through Dubuque.
Oh, so you went you went into Illinois before you went up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I don't know why.
Yeah, that's not the best way to go.
I don't know why. I have to.
Takes longer.
Well, it was only about. Well, it was about almost 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was because of an accident or not.
Sure. Yeah, no.
So it's the closest I've been to Dubuque too, by the way.
Would not recommend Carbondale just for like funsies.
I think we bumped into Peoria.
I would not recommend Peoria.
No, but I've been there. I got my teeth kicked in Peoria.
Really?
Oh,
he got cracked on one play.
That's why I have veneers.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I went to my sister visited Bradley.
That was a Bruce Cowdery led Peoria bunch. What?
Nothing.
Did I remember his name?
Arena football's great.
Beef wanted him.
No, I love the random names and places. Like, I'm not being sarcastic at all. Like, arena football is great.
Yeah.
Like, you end up with so many. Man,
do you know who his best player was?
Who?
He went to Coe College.
He ended up in the NFL.
Yes, he did. He was a Buffalo Bill.
Oh, what's the guy's name from Coe College?
Mr. Jackson.
Fred Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to say Fred Taylor. I was like, that's the wrong Fred. Fred Jackson.
Yeah, that dude was spectacular.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. You know what my favorite Arena League story of all time is? So when Peter Warwick was like winding down his NFL career, he played in Bloomington in the same league that the Beef were in at the time. And they, unfortunately, Bloomington didn't come to Omaha that year because I 1,000% would have been there because I love Peter Warwick. But apparently he wasn't cashing any of his game checks. Like, because
he's just keeping them.
They were just in his locker. Like he's like, no,
they were still giving him paper. Oh, I guess back then you probably got a paper check.
Yeah, probably because this was like 2010-ish.
Yeah,
2009.
That was about to cut.
That's right in the range there. But he just wasn't cashing his checks, and he's like, oh no, I'm straight on money. I just want to play.
Yeah, and I remember the reason that Nato wanted to bring Bruce in to coach Omaha is because he could just get players. Because Fred was a Sioux City, he was a bandit.
Yeah,
and then Peoria wanted to make one more run. I'm like, how'd you get this guy from the Bandits? Yeah,
because they were good back in the day. Bandits.
Both teams were good.
Yeah.
Peoria and Sioux City were good.
I'm telling you. Well, and we've got Omaha Beef kick off their season here in I think
Sunday.
a week from Sunday.
Is it a 3:00 kick?
Oh no, it's
Sunday.
It's Sunday.
Yeah.
It's an exhibition though. I think it's their preseason game.
3:00.
I think so. Get it kicked off.
Do they still call it the Slaughterhouse?
I think so. And
I told you that setup out here.
It's pretty nice.
I think it's pretty sweet.
Also, You can stream it exclusively if you're not there at the game, which you definitely should be. You can stream it exclusively on Hurrdat Sports.
When's the Texas Roadhouse dinner?
I don't know. I'll have to check in with our guy K-Dub and see when that is. I missed the details on it. I saw the video, but I didn't lock it in there memory-wise.
Lock it in.
Lock it in.
Lock it in like the Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia Bulldogs over your Florida Gators. I don't know about that. DB likes it, though, and he's better at this than I am. We'll be back tomorrow with more Hurrdat Sports Live.